case, but what I've been reading, inflammation is um, is base is the base for almost every painful issue we have, every pain we have. It appears to go back to inflammation. That is caused by various things, but it's still the ultimate result is inflammation, and therefore pain, because when your tissues are inflamed, they start knocking against your nerves, and then the nerves start to get irritated and kind of swell a little bit, and then they start interrelating, and it just is ongoing. That's what my second husband, who was a psychiatrist, told me. Also, it's depressive. It can cause depression.
Yeah, and
The
there's
inflammation.
another facet to that.
Yeah.
In my case, I have learned that if an area is irritated for
Yeah.
a length of time, or we'll say
Right.
years, it
Yeah.
can produce cancer. It has not
Yeah.
produced it in me, but I have a very good doctor who's caught everything in time. So
Yeah.
my hat's off to her. She's 28 years old. She's right out of medical school. So she's up on
Yeah.
all the new techniques, all the new procedures. And like she just scheduled me today out of the clear blue for, oh, what is it? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, they're stepping on my head. Uh,
Well,
the artery
everybody.
that feeds your brain on the left side. What is it?
That's
Carotid
the
artery.
creative side, I think.
Carotid artery. Yeah,
Oh, you're not talking about brain. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is partially clogged, so she wants to get an MRI of it.
Oh, okay. Turmeric also thins the blood.
It
Turmeric is my
does.
favorite supplement. Yes, it does. And this I know because when I looked it up after I realized it, but when I had my fall,
Right.
it I took turmeric thinking, well, that will keep the swelling down, because I noticed some swelling around in that area in my head. So I decided to take turmeric, and I was gushing blood for many hours, just gushing. It was just running, and it wasn't that big a deal, I didn't think. It was just gushing blood out of there for hours. And it would have healed up more quickly if I hadn't taken a blood thinner. And turmeric is a blood thinner. I
Now
think you
that
have somebody
is
else.
that's
Yeah?
available OTC.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
That's available over the counter.
Yeah. Turmeric? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Get turmeric with curcumin. Remember the stuff I told you about that helps with the Alzheimer's?
Right. Exactly.
I hear somebody behind us saying, yeah. I'll bet that's Luda. Um, but yeah, no, it's absolutely over the counter. And I think it's better than any medication I'd take. But that's just me.
Well, that sounds good. All right. You're the fifth one now. You're the first one and the fifth one
Oh,
that has actually brought that up. So,
oh,
with your recommendation, I'm gonna pick some of that up. Yeah, my doctor is after me for 2,000 milligrams of vitamin D and all this other stuff, and she's like on my case. You got to do this, you got to do that. So I'm really lucky because to find a doctor like that today they're few and far between. Most of the medical profession is like a meat packing plant. I mean, you go in one end, you come out the other end, minus a few dollars, or hundreds of dollars. So
yeah.
there are some good facilities, but there are some bad ones, as we all know.
Okay. Well, yeah. What did you say? I'm sorry. I'm reading a message. Somebody wants to come on the call about and talk about something. I have to respond. And you were talking about meat packing plants?
Well,
Sorry.
some medical installations or facilities are like meat packing plants. In other words, you walk in, it's overbooked. You wait, you go through the procedure, you come out the other side, and you just feel like a piece of meat that's being billed.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm sure
Just
I'm sure you
walking
know what I'm
through.
talking about.
Yeah, I do.
But anybody that lives in Massachusetts, I drive, oh God, probably 40 miles each way to go to it, but it's South Shore Medical Center. And I've actually been going to them since I was 12, but they've changed hands, I think, and they're really a sharp outfit now.
Michael.
Okay.
So how's your targeting doing, Linda?
Oh. Well, between my animals and my pain, it's pretty serious. My little Daisy is just, every day she's hurting more, having trouble walking, and it just, it's becoming so obvious that something's happening, you know. When she's eating, she all of a sudden just jumps, and she's been hit by something. She just jumps, which is something unusual because she can barely walk. But, you know, that's not cool. And they know that my animals are, it just breaks my heart. Other than that, I'm good. I'm good. My targeting is just the same as it was. Actually, it's getting a little more, no, Jack, honey. It's getting a little more pronounced because I am finding things, and I do have some evidence and all that good stuff. And I made the unfortunate decision to discuss it with somebody on the phone. So, of course, now they know it. And I'm getting hit harder. They don't like us to, you know. But but if you fight through it, it does seem to even out. Or
Right.
do you think it evens out, or do you think we just get used to it, and that's why we got to up it every so often?
Well, we get used to something, then they up it. And I just wanted to tell everybody here so far, if you'd like to speak, all you have to do is hit *6, just like TalkShoe or any of the other calls, pretty much. If you're on your computer, you can mute or unmute yourself by just clicking on the little microphone. So everybody is basically muted at this point. Yeah, my targeting has been helter-skelter, I'll say, the last 3 weeks. It seems that since the Schumann resonance has gone up, the targeting rate has gone up too, from what I hear from people. I didn't check it today. I did check the other day. It was 140 something. I think that was Wednesday I checked. So what else do you have new? Oh, go ahead, sir.
New issues, yeah.
I want to know the 2 women that are involved in the, what is that they're running, questionnaire survey. Are they from Massachusetts?
Are you talking about the organization that's happening in Massachusetts?
Well, the survey.
Oh, the survey. Okay. What you want to do?
I don't want to do. I'm just asking you. But are they from Massachusetts?
Yes.
Are they from New York? Okay.
Yes, they are.
You might want to run this by them, since I don't know them personally. You probably talk to them more than I do. The Santa Clara County, California, has stringent laws, and since Santa Clara already set a precedent, they might want to follow the survey up with presenting it along with the precedent set in Santa Clara. I don't understand why, since the precedent was set in Santa Clara, it can't be applied to other places in the United States. That's just, you know.
Good idea, Joe. Is that Joe?
Yes, it is, dear. How are you,
Hi,
Linda?
Joe. I'm okay, hon. Good idea. Good idea. You know, I have not really pursued that, and I need to do that starting Monday. I've not pursued that avenue, you know, but good suggestion.
You know, it only makes sense. I mean, I'm sitting there going, wait a second. There's a piece missing here. I mean, you know, so, like I said. So now you'll have all this accumulated facts. I like to say facts. You'll have all this accumulated factual information, and then a precedent to back it up. And then, you know, with that in their face, say, let's do it. You know, this has to be done. It's all there is to it. I mean, what's to prevent Silicon Valley from being so much more prone to this crime than any other place in the nation, especially big cities?
Yeah.
And you know where I am, so, you know.
Yeah. Let me tell you, though, the
Well, I
interesting
think
thing
one
is...
of the reasons that got passed out there is because Anna and a few other of the TIs who lived in that area pursued a relationship with Giovanna Eccles, or her first name is Giovanna, I can't remember the last name, but she got to know Anna and maybe a few other TIs and understood what was happening. So she was on the city council out there in Richmond, and that's how that whole thing got going. She can't hear me, so I don't know if they can hear me. But in any case, that's my understanding of how that happened. And just before I relinquish the floor, I just wanted to ask Frank a question. Frank, did you get my Facebook post or have a chance to look at it?
I have not. I have been deluged since Wednesday.
I'm sure.
With emails and phone calls of people wanting to know, who said what Wednesday, and wanting to know about this particular type of targeting. And we have a gentleman out in California. His name is Dutch. He's getting really destroyed out there. He shared a lot of information with me today, and while he did so, you could hear the pain in his voice. And he's a really nice guy, so if you hear Dutch, the name Dutch on any call, he's like 74 years old, and he's still fighting, so he's a good guy.
Yeah, we used to have a woman on the Florida call when they had a regular call. She was, I want to say she was in her early 80s, and it was just, just to hear her was just heartbreaking. So,
yeah, it's terrible.
But whenever you get a chance, read through it. It's long. It's not even the whole thing because they wouldn't let me post the whole thing, but it certainly has some relevant information in there. So, like I said, it's a pretty long post, but whenever you have a chance, just read through it. Just go to my timeline. This is Sandy, so go to my timeline and you'll be able to see it. It was actually, it's the what is it? It's the human. It's the effects of microwaves on the central nervous system. But it's really broken down. Really, really interesting. And
can you do me a favor? If it's not complete, could you please...
I'm not sure why the Ford Motor Company was interested in that, but a lot of good information.
Yeah, if it is in fact not complete, could you email me that as an attachment, and perhaps I can post it.
What I did was I think, and I have it, I'm not looking at my email, I don't have it in front of me, but I think I copied and pasted the whole thing because I've learned to do that with them because I've gone back, I have a ton of information on my Facebook timeline, and some of it's been white. So what I have taken to doing is copying and pasting the whole thing. So I don't know if I can send it as an attachment, but I can send the email to you. And I actually sent a text to you. I don't know even if you got that, but it's been a little crazy around this way, but it is what it is. I don't think that
since she cut over me. Does the Santa Clara
There you go. Hi,
does
Joe.
the Santa Clara laws have anything to do with Richmond?
No.
Aren't they two different places?
Yes, definitely. And these are two different issues.
I know, I was talking, and I wasn't even finished what I was saying.
Right.
Anyway,
but let me...
The Richmond, California has to do with space, has to do with satellites. Santa Clara has nothing to do with that.
No, it
and
doesn't.
I've looked it over quite thoroughly, as I have ones in New York that weren't there 2 weeks ago. And so, like I said, the group may want to look into that, because one that, Richmond has nothing to do with Santa Clara. And,
so what's going on in Santa Clara?
So anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Okay. And
good idea.
Thank you. And if since you have my email, Linda, maybe you can pass it on to the two ladies if you contact them who are up in the Northeast, and maybe I'd like to speak to them, or maybe they'd like to speak to me.
Great. Very good. But, Joe, I will do that. The interesting thing is they don't want this information out there, that some of it, I still have it in other places, but the Santa Clara, the law that they did pass against any, they passed a law against anybody using any kind of surveillance equipment that involved EMFs without a very extensive permit process where the public is invited, and the public listens to the vote, and the public listens to the evidence, and it's just really strict. They have to come back every year to have that permit renewed, and same public process. Nobody gets to use a surveillance device in Santa Clara County without first obtaining a permit, a very specific permit. And the interesting thing, Joe, is that it was to the language on my computer where I had it saved. The language has changed to it only being the police force that has this restriction. That's not the case. It's the entire group. It's everybody. Nobody can employ the use of an EMF device for surveillance. Yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, exactly. What I'm saying is that language has been changed on my computer. That language was changed on my computer. How weird is that? And how much does that say how important that is? That they don't want that floating around the country. They don't want that information being given out. I think, but we're going to do it anyway. But I'm just letting you know.
Well,
clearly, this information. Yeah, really. Yeah, this information matters. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think that's a great thing, but obviously the perps are not going to go and apply for a permit. I mean,
well, right now,
notwithstanding, it's still a great thing that they've done. Is it similar to the one in Michigan?
We're producing a law which, if you break, there are consequences. There is nothing of the sort right now, and this is what is needed.
Yes, exactly. So, they did it. No, they've done it. They've done it, Joe. It has been passed. Yeah, and it's the first one in the entire country who has done this. It's a start. Joe is absolutely right.
So what I'm saying is, with this survey, right, you'll be able to come down on anybody that opposes it like an avalanche. Say, wait a second, wait a second. You got people from Alaska down to Hawaii, out to Florida, up to New York, down to Texas. Please.
Yeah.
Who knows how far it may go?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, nobody else has it. And everything, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm responding to something.
Anyway, that's all I have to say. I just wanted to put that out there because I don't, sometimes there may be a million people and a million ideas, and it just takes one idea to connect it all together. I don't know if those ladies are thinking along those lines, but it'd be advantageous to everyone if they did.
What we need to do is take that law and make it federal. That's the only way that it will affect all of the states. Otherwise, it will just get passed from state to state and shot down. So we need to take it to a federal level, and we need to get it approved and put in place. Now, there's a law in Massachusetts that's a really kick-ass law, if you pardon the expression, but has not been put into effect. It's just sort of hanging there.
And that's because he involved, or he was concerned, he aimed it at satellites. And not everybody can wrap their brain around communication with satellites.
Right.
So they said, oh, he's crazy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. They ended up so besmirching his reputation that he was not elected again. They destroyed destroyed him over that. And my concern about the federal government is if they are involved, they're not going to pass this law, or they're going to take a lot of pressure to get them to do it. And I think if it does go state by state, they might take notice. If it gets shot down, it gets shot down. But at least people will be aware. We can make it. We can blast it all over the place.
Hello?
It takes one person to present that law to Congress. That's all it takes. One person.
Yeah.
And,
Hello? Yeah, hi. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we surely can.
All right, great. How you doing? My name's Tom. I've been a targeted individual since I've noticed it since around March 2015. And just a quick question. I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of chimed in here because you guys were speaking about laws and setting up regulations. I guess one side, I don't understand why you would even bother with the process of making a law. If I'm right, I'm assuming that you're making a law to prevent any type of electronic warfare or type of electronic harassment. Is that the goal here?
Surveillance.
Surveillance. I don't understand why you would waste resources to go that route quite so yet. In the process, I mean, if you just compare it to firearm laws, you could make as many laws as you want, and until there's a law where nobody's allowed to have firearms. Criminals are still going to have firearms.
Okay, here's the goal, all right? The FBI is waiting for this law. They are going to have a task force in 2018. They asked for funding for it, I believe last year, the tail end of last year. And this law, when it gets passed, is going to give the FBI carte blanche to kick butt on these perps. And they're going to use radio tracking. They're already recording a lot of the perps. I'm going to say most of them. So there's a lot of good things in the works that you guys don't know about yet.
Frank, I love the high hopes, and
that's not hope.
You're kind of making me throw a fist pump in the air here, but I mean, unless I see that in writing, unless I see a whole documentation that says that's exactly the procedure, that's the process. I mean, this is kind of just, this is just wind in the air. First of all, has anyone ever picked up a signal coming out of a human being if they're being targeted?
Yes, they have. Melinda Kidder has.
Has she been able to track it down? Because as far as I'm concerned, I would just use a little bit of intelligence. I would say that somehow, some way, the signal would be encrypted. You can find the signal close to your body all day long, but if you can't actually pinpoint that it's coming from your human person, or better yet, that it's going to your human person.
May I ask you what you would suggest we do?
In all honesty, I'm not shooting it down. You're right. You're absolutely right. I am taking the wrong approach, and I am kind of being the negative naysayer here. I guess it's just because of my frustration. I wouldn't consider myself just a run-of-the-mill guy. I have an intelligence when it comes to electronics and everything like that. But it really just baffles me that there's no solid, hardcore evidence to find on the Internet on how to, A, figure out if there is a signal, and B, how to shut it down or block it.
So what you're saying is that if somebody, maybe a door or two away, is using a very strong radar microwave, and they have it up to like maybe 500 milligauss at I don't know, 300 watts, and it's pointed at your bedroom all night while you're sleeping, you won't have an effect. And you're telling me that there's no way to find the direction that's coming from and put it on a meter and find out the parameters of the signal and take a video of that. You're telling me I can't do all that?
No, no, absolutely. As a matter of fact, you kind of just proved me wrong saying that you're able to. I'm just saying with the mere fact that I don't know if anyone's gotten to the extent where they actually hear the V2K 24/7, and then also not only that.
Friend, I'm talking about getting fried.
About what?
Getting fried, getting fricasseed, getting burned.
Oh, yeah. That burned. That really sucked. I hated it when that happened. But that was only really quick. I'm really more or less kind of speaking about the V2K, the voices, the audiology, the hallucination.
24/7 for me.
Oh, yeah, same here, likewise.
Okay, I didn't mean to come on strong like that, but, you know, you got to be adamant, man.
Trust me, dude. Hey, we're in the same boat here. I'm not going to get offended by anything you say. I please hope that nobody gets offended by anything I say. You know, we're all on the same team here. So I hope we all can understand each other's frustrations when we kind of speak in a frustrated manner. You know, we're all yeah, we're all going through it. I mean, in all honesty, I was happy to find out that this little, you know, phone call go-to meeting, you know, was on the net, and I was able to see that. And, you know, I was listening to you guys for a little bit, and, you know, what?
How'd you find it?
I guess the question I want to ask is, what's next? I mean, what do we do aside from waiting for a law to pass?
Okay. I think what you're going to see, unfortunately, I see it in the future very rapidly. I think you're going to see covert TI organizations that know where perps are working, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. All right. I commend them if they end up going through that process. Is there anyone else who has, you know, been able to figure out what the whole mix is between gang stalking and TI? I mean, there's some people who haven't realized, because I went through the gang stalking part until I started to realize it was my own thoughts, and it actually was,
exactly.
You know, it was me.
Good for you.
You know, and it took me sooner than later, but, you know, you start hearing the communications between people all around you, and you're thinking, oh, these people are looking after me. And then eventually you figure it out that it's, you know, it's in your own head, and there's nothing there. Has anyone figured out the process with, you know, helping other people with that, or is that?
There are people who are. There are people who are.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
No, that's okay.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Linda.
No, I think I interrupted you. But there are people that are looking into that. There's a device that Mike Mason has. It's what is that called? What is it called?
It's called Audio Spotlight, but what it does, it emulates V2K. It uses the same process, which is called heterodyning. And he can be up on top of a building 100 stories high and put the sight on your shoulder and put his voice right next to your ear.
Well, you don't want my voice in there. It's not very good. It bothers me. There's a lot of people.
It's a wonderful voice.
Welcome, Mike.
Hello there. How are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, all right. I mean, I guess it's so frustrating for me to speak out right now because I kind of just want to be the guy who sits in the back and finds out what's going on and asks somebody what's going on and how do we take care of this. But in all honesty, it's I guess we're all each to its own and all for its own and figuring this thing out, huh? I guess
it's not impossible. And I just found out this week. There's a friend of mine who has some contact with people in Japan, and they did a novel thing. They went out and they rented some equipment. I think it was from a university. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out. And they also rented time in an anechoic chamber, which is someplace that's completely soundproof and there are no echoes, and they were doing their own testing. I don't know about Melinda Kerr and all those people. It might be something similar to what they do. And they might have even posted their stuff on YouTube. I'll have to find out. But they were very successful, and they I can only go back and forth with them a little bit through translator, and it's a very clumsy translation a lot of times. But they had a lot of equipment, and also they rented an anechoic chamber, and I think that would be more cost effective than individuals going to Killer and Staninger in a group or individually.
Mike, can you explain that chamber to me? Because is it like a
an anechoic chamber is something that's like even more so than a soundproof chamber. There are no echoes. There are no signals being able to bounce off of anything, signals or sound. And what you see in there is like a bunch of foam and a certain material like stalactites and rounded edges in the corners and different things like that.
Oh, so that's the same as my control room in my studio then?
It could be, but I would say it's even more so when it comes to frequencies, when it comes to EM waves in some way. And I'm not up on it enough to tell you exactly how. But these people did go and they paid rent time to have the equipment, the analysis equipment, and this chamber. And it was probably less than it costs here for two people to go see. I'm not putting them down. I don't mean anything by it, but I know it's costly to go see Killer and Staninger. And so if people were able to raise, donations of, I don't know how much it cost them over there. I'll guess $2,500. I don't really know. That's worth it to you could test more than just a couple people in a certain period of time than you could by going the other route. I doubt we'll be able to find implants or anything like that, but it would be able to tell that if you went into these places and you tried to analyze it for frequencies that were emanating from a person, what they were, and if any of their electronic assaults and V2K or subliminals had significantly reduced or were stopped completely.
Yeah, I actually, at my work, I wear smocks and, grounded out. I have a Faraday cage around me all the time. I work with microchips, and it doesn't dull anything. I mean, I have...
No, isn't that so? I believe you. I had several Faraday setups over the years. It didn't do anything. It stopped my phone. It stopped my little AM/FM radio and phone and a little TV. Nothing. Everything else was right with us. Stayed right along with me. It's like, unwelcome visitors. Yeah.
Eleanor White constructed one of the first ones. I'm not sure how many years ago that was, but Eleanor White is some of the first material that I read over. But she again found out that it was of no use.
Yeah, I did hear one subject on YouTube. The gentleman was speaking about, and he went to extents. I mean, he was speaking about Epsom salt and taking a bath in Epsom salt. And what happens is there's an actual biofilm that develops on your body once this process begins. And what happens is that it makes your body become even more of an amplified antenna. Has anybody experimented with that here, or?
Yes, I have done that, and what I found was that it was bizarre, because it does help take all of a sudden this sort of film stuff could literally take it with my fingernails and take it off in the bathtub. It was so thick. Yes.
Well, I mean, no offense, and I mean, just seeing that. I'm not a naysayer here, but I mean, obviously, any type of Epsom salt will dry out your skin and cause some type.
That's true too. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. See, that's kind of what I was sketchy about. Like, this guy was explaining how all these film were coming off him, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, well, I mean, if I go take a shower right now, that happens on a very molecular level. So he probably just amplified it with the Epsom salt. But he did say that by the end of it, his symptoms completely relieved of.
Yeah. Well,
that
didn't happen for me, but it did help. I have to say,
I don't know of anybody that tried it that had relief of their symptoms.
Okay. I mean, one say yes, one say doesn't. I thought about doing it, but it was really expensive.
In other words, I'm saying I didn't try it, but I know a few people who did it consistently for some time, and they didn't report. They reported some improvement, but not complete removal.
Okay. I do believe the minerals or any type of iron in your body can definitely amplify it, because my symptoms started when I became an engineer at a investment casting process. And when I first showed up, I says, man, there's a lot of aluminum in the air. I can't believe all this metal I'm seeing floating around, because, it is the process of melting metal and then rebuilding it. And right then and there, gradually, as I started, that's it. That's when the symptoms started building up really intensely. I found it funny how, it's almost like I got a lockjaw, and it seemed like a lot more metal was entering my body and created more of an antenna. Has anybody else noticed anything like that as far as what would amplify it?
Well, I've heard that. Joe, who used to be one of the moderators on these conference calls, used to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Because I'm really just kind of stretching my thoughts out here and seeing if anybody bites or anybody grabs on it. Because I want this to stop. I think it's such a nuisance. It's not even torture anymore for me. It's more of a nuisance. Just hearing it in the background, in between conversations. Does it stop for everyone when you start having a conversation with somebody else, or?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Not for everyone, but it does for some.
It drowns them out a little bit.
It does. It almost seems like when you're focused on somebody directly in front of you and you're having a conversation, it almost, like you're saying, it drowns them out, and I'm not able to hear them much of the time when I'm in conversation with somebody. Like as in right now, as I speak to you folks, I can't hear it unless I dig for it and try and find it.
I actually had to change the way that I listen to people. I had to learn to actually watch what they were saying, watch their mouths as they speak rather than look at their eyes, because frequently what would happen, that stuff would be flowing through me. So at such a level that those phrases and words would seem to come out of that person's mouth. And so
you're absolutely right. I went the same route. If I do not see their mouth moving when they say it, it's not true.
Right. That's what and that still happens to this day. I have to be careful, to make sure. And even if I'm watching a YouTube video or a television program or something, I always have closed captioning on to make sure, because, there's a lot of that stuff that slips in.
Well, okay. Lucky for me, while I'm watching TV, it's completely silent. I don't know why. So does anybody else in here, do they also have your own thoughts read back to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Almost as in like an echo?
Yes.
Okay,
and
so that
I say to myself or say to anyone else in a conversation is repeated back.
It's frustrating, isn't it? That, I mean, like I'm saying, it's not something that makes me angry. It's not something that, pisses me off. It's just annoying. It
is. It's annoying. That's the word.
It can be, especially, if you have the other aspects of it that are still ongoing, as a lot of people do. If you have people coming into your home or apartments repetitiously because, you don't have any privacy or security, if you have vandalism, if you have other illnesses caused by it, that becomes more than annoyance.
True.
And it actually just is very eroding to a lot of people's ego or their creativity or their sense of self. A lot of times, depending on what degree they have it. I'm not trying to put you down. I'm just saying that.
Okay, may I ask a question?
Hi, Frank. Hi, Frank. It's Cynthia. How's it going? It's Cindy in Sacramento.
Okay, I was just talking about something. Can you just wait a minute, please?
Oh, no, not at all. I have something to add as well. I walked into my apartment and had to smell things and ended up in the hospital a week later.
Right, and so it becomes more than an annoyance, and so any way that we can try to get rid of it, or even have things that we develop that each person can use, or find out ways of what it is and what it is not. I'm even happy with finding out what it isn't at first, because I don't have to pay attention to those things. I can go on and try to find out what they are. I don't know what else to do.
May I ask you a question? How does it? When you say you get things that you're thinking repeated back to you, do you hear it in words, or is it just like a?
You hear it as an echo. like an echo, a thought.
Like you do hear it.
If you're outside, well, hearing and perceiving are two different things. This is the problem. The very equipment that we're using to try and understand what's happening to us, ourselves and our brains, is being tampered with. So we can't even be sure what's happening is happening unless we use outside equipment or instrumentation that verifies objectively that that's what's going on. In other words, how many times have people tried to record V2K and they put a digital recorder out there, record something, and they play it back, they say, oh yeah, I can hear it, and you play for other people, they're like, I don't hear a damn thing.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
That is to show you that something is happening from within to us that only we are experiencing, and I think that that thing is happening to us in a physical way, in a physiological way. I think what happens a lot of times is we get subvocalizations. We are conditioned, or subliminally or otherwise, to have subvocalizations through them that have us misperceive that we are having our thoughts and words repeated back to us.
Does anybody have any racial overtones to their V2K?
No.
No.
No. No.
Because I've talked to a lot of black TIs.
I have a friend in New Orleans.
We have a lot of people. We get called all kinds of.
Please don't talk over Mike. He's speaking.
No, I was telling her though. I have a friend in New Orleans that's all they say to her constantly. And she's about 60 or 65 now, and that's all most of her content is just that, and they keep doing that to her. And it was very disturbing to her in the beginning. It still is.
Yeah, see, she
knows now that it's just people trying to provoke. It's just people trying to provoke her, and and it's a very hurtful thing. Of course, they're going to use the most hurtful or triggering or vile thing that they can. If it's a woman, they'll call you a bitch or whatever else they want. If a guy, they'll call you a faggot. They'll do all kinds of things. If it's whatever race you are, they're going to use that most derogatory thing that they possibly can. Sure.
And I think in the TI community, it's that we're secondary or inferior. So we, in general, in society.
About other people. I don't personally. I don't know. I have several friends who are African American, and I've never thought anything about that. That never came into play. I don't know what happens on a lot of the calls. I don't go to them, but it's a tricky thing. I don't think there is anything like that. I hope not, because that's not the issue. I don't care what people are. I'm not interested in their color or their religion or their, what is it called, politics. I just want to get rid of all this. Yeah. I think people I just want to get rid of it. I'm not interested in
Very good. Very well.
That's it.
Hey, what works for me sometimes is I'll actually find it quite comical. There's multiple incidents, I'll hear it play back to me, I'm trying to think of a perfect example, but there's sometimes during the day where I'll hear something so mean and something so obnoxious that I really have to sit back and laugh and say, there is no possible way that I would even consider thinking something like that.
No, that's how you know.
I don't know I really don't know if that happens to anyone else, but I do. I hear it and I start to laugh and I think to myself and say, wow, this is possibly the stupidest thing I have ever been through.
Yeah. Yeah. Juvenile? To say the least.
Juvenile. It's real vile. It's juvenile. It's real. Anything you can think that you even think. That's how a lot of times you can tell it's not of you. You don't think this way. You lived in your brain and your body all your life. You don't think that way. That's not coming from you. It's being twisted.
Exactly. And I also don't know if anyone else is able to actually pick up when a thought is intruded into their own mind. I don't know. For me, I mean, maybe it does happen for everyone else, and I'm kind of just speaking because this is the first time I've been on one of these calls. But for me, I can tell exactly when something is intruding into my thoughts. My own thoughts continue in the background, but then they get stepped on by this different thought, and that also too makes me laugh. I laugh at how dumb that is, because here I am thinking exactly one thing, and something else is stepping on it saying another, and it's stupid. It's really friggin' stupid.
Tom, I have a couple of questions for you. Myself, I feel those thoughts. Number one. Number two, I was curious as to what kind of attacks you've been subjected to in the past. Like, we have all been really hurt very bad in the past, and we are still being hurt. And I was just wondering what your level of attack was during.
Well, my level of attack was very, very serious, but I can tell you right now that I kicked its ass.
Yep.
I had nothing in my social life affected, nothing in my personal life affected. The only thing that affected me was the fact that I quit my engineering job, and now I picked up another job, but it ended up working out for me because I figured it out as it was going along. I played a little bit, don't get me wrong. I mean, I fell into that trap door, but at the same time, I fought and clawed my way out of it, figuring it out as I went along, and I kicked its ass. So that way, the only thing I have right now is just faint little talking in the background.
All right, Lucky. Frank, this is Doug. I'm on.
I do. From what I've heard, I consider myself very lucky, and just to be able to figure it out. But for me, it started with employees. It started with everybody around me talking, obviously negative things about me that have happened in my life or in my past, or just making things up, rumors. It started with employees. It then transferred to neighbors around me. And then right when it started getting towards, here I am assuming that this is the way my family is thinking about me, and I'm hearing things as I'm driving away from my mother and my father, and I'm thinking in my head, no way in hell, that would never happen. So that's really when it started for me to combat it, thinking, my parents love me. There's no way in hell that they would ever throw me to the sharks or start to backpedal. But it really started with harassment from neighbors all around me. You're going to go to jail, you're a bad person, you're doing this. And right when I first came to the thought that this is definitely an outside source and there is no way that this is my own thoughts or that this is, some type of schizophrenia or a hallucination, that's when I felt the full body burn. That's when it started from the bottom of my feet, and it worked all the way up to my whole body, and I was in absolute burn, pain, agony, and only after I assumed that this was an outside entity. And that's really what kind of gave it away to me, that this is not me causing my body pain. It then developed into, I heard the voices, so I says, okay, you know what, I'm from Boston. I have a specific accent. I was in the military. I traveled all around. I understand accents all around the world. I said, I'm going to listen to the voices and see if I can pick up a specific accent that this would be playing off, because that's one of those things you can't really get rid of. And as I started to listen to that, obviously the auditorial hallucinations, for a lack of better terms, started to get really angry. They started to tell me to stop, don't do it. And then that's when I got the really, really high-pitched frequency noises, almost like a dog whistle in your own ear, that only I could hear. And it was so loud, so intense, that I had to get up out of my bed, and I sat on the side of my bed, and as I'm listening to this extremely loud noise, I'm thinking, man, my eardrums are going to burst. And as I'm sitting there thinking that, I look down at my dog at my feet, and I can hear the dog breathing, and I can hear her collar moving on the ground. And I'm thinking in my head, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. How am I getting this deafening noise that would cancel out all other sounds around me, but yet I'm still able to hear my own dog breathe at my feet? And I says, this is crazy. I guess now I have no fear because I know it can't hurt me, because quite frankly, it's not really affecting my eardrums. So now I don't have to worry about that. And it just kind of snowballed into me proving it wrong to get to the point where I'm at. But I'd have to say, I touched on everything that I've read from other people, but it didn't go to the extent where it destroyed my life, because I figured it out too quick.
Yeah,
you got lucky there.
Yeah, I know. I've heard counts, and I've read stories of people who have moved 4 times, 5 times, completely destroyed the way of life, and I can't believe it. I mean, has anybody else gone through the same thing and figured it out quick enough, or was there a complete collapse of everything they've known?
I figured out the same thing, and I'll tell you how. It's the same as you, basically. What's happening is what you're hearing, the high-pitched noises, are actually going to your cochlea on the other side of your eardrum. So all the normal sounds are reaching your eardrums. But the cochlea, which is the nerve hooked to your eardrum, is picking up all of this high-pitched noise, usually associated with the left ear for some reason.
Can I ask you something, Tom? Have you had
shoot. I apologize. I don't mean if I kind of go away for a couple of seconds, but I'm still enjoying my life. I'm grilling some nice pork on the grill right now for me and my wife, and so if I go away, don't mind if you don't hear from me for a second.
Have you had vandalism and break-ins?
I've had what I've assumed as vandalism, but I can't say it's nothing further than a coincidence. I mean, I've drove myself crazy. I even thought that I saw footprints at the bottom of a window from my garage that's connected to my shop. I thought the grass was bent over. I could have sworn that, I set up a camera, and when I came back to that camera, it was moved 3-4 inches in a different direction, as if somebody was trying to pull the data chip out. I drove myself crazy with that. I absolutely did. But quite frankly, as I look back at it and I think about it, I say there was absolutely no proof whatsoever that I didn't cause myself to start to draw into a tunnel with.
I
so
think
no,
that
I have not had any physical
half of the TIs that go through this. I think that you're getting to feel what my ancestors felt when we didn't have our rights, when my great-great-grandmother was a slave.
Well, can I just say something? I've had cuts on my body. They've cut me on my nose, on my earlobe, on my arms, both hands, both feet, both legs.
Have you ruled out any type of dry skin? Have you ruled out any other possibility that it might be?
No, because they were like razor cuts. It wasn't dry skin; they were razor cuts.
Wow. Okay.
Well, like Russell Means says, welcome to the reservation. The mainstream of America has been awful to some people groups, and now you're getting to feel the same crap we've been through, being Indian, Native American, or Black, or Mexican.
No, I know, but I think you're fighting the wrong. I kind of feel like you're fighting the wrong fight right now. We're all in this together. We're all the same color at this point. So in all honesty,
we're not treated the same. We're not. I'm sorry, Frank, but we're not treated the same. People are calling me a perp, and they're out of their minds.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Native Americans.
Yeah, I am talking about Native Americans and Blacks and Mexicans being treated like crap over the centuries. Yeah.
Do you think that they're causing the targeting?
Who's causing the targeting?
Okay, if everyone else doesn't mind, this is where I go mute and go find something to do. I don't understand where this just went, but.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Sure, go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. I have to agree with Cindy. Although, Cindy, I, as a friend and as a Christian, I love you.
I love you too.
Sister. But the other night, and I'm not trying to call you on your, we all have our days. What happened the other night, and you called in and you said you were high and you were laughing and cutting off on the calls and making it like it's a joke.
It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a joke.
But you were laughing and you were saying you were high?
Oh, it was an accidental high. My godnephew, because he's concerned about my health, and half the TIs are not. I've, had my neck cut into twice now in the matter of 8 months, and so he gave me a cookie on accident. Or on purpose, I don't know. He's just concerned for me. And I only ate like a teeny bit, like a thumbprint size, and I spit it out, sister. I spit it out. And then it affected me anyway, but he's concerned. So I had had enough of hearing Brian too. I had had enough, and maybe it wasn't the best way to do it, but I had had enough because he had taken over. Like, I mean, it's Cindy, not just like me. It's like been hours of hearing Brian too, like hours, like whole phone calls, and I don't, you know, I've listened to his YouTubes and things like that. He's got some things to give, but I don't want to hear him 24/7. I don't. And not for hours on end, 3 and 4 and 5 hours straight.
You're never going to be able to live that experience down, and I will always remember who you are and your voice and the wonderful contributions you make to this targeted individual group. So thank you for doing such a good job of revealing yourself. And if you are a member in the Native American community, I feel bad for them as well because they've done a terrible job of upbringing you.
I beg your pardon?
I said that if you are a member, if you are actually a member of the Native American community, any nation, I feel bad for that nation because they've done a horrible job raising you. Because it's a job of a nation.
Oh, no, honey. No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. No, that's okay. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But no, I'm not real enough. You haven't heard half of it.
My opinion is world class, and I don't think much of yours at all.
Well, that's okay. Keep it to yourself. Thank you.
Hey, I don't mean to cut you guys off, but I think we're going down the wrong path here.
Yeah, I think she dropped
everybody,
off.
we're all in this together.
Cindy, can you hear me?
She dropped off for some reason.
Okay. Well, I just want to say she's got a point that the minorities, whatever they may be, whether they be Asian, whether they be Pakistani, whether they be black, whether they, and this is history. We are seeing history is repeating itself. It's never really gone away, and they have been attacked, and they have been used in experiments.
But there's chat sites for that. There's local help for that. This is not what that's for. This is not
local help.
Local
help for what? Local help for what?
But I don't want to. I don't want to make that the forefront issue. But so we do have to remember that and be respectful of each other.
Yeah. No, you're right. I agree. And in all honesty, it's sad to hear us kind of fighting back and forth. But
that person, I don't hear that person usually on this call anyway who was saying that to her. I don't know who that was.
William really felt the need to say it.
William Gregory Douglas, 13183, on YouTube under Liam Xmail Revolution X. So if you want more information, I can give it to you. But besides that, no, tell me where all the slave owners live today. They live in Washington, D.C., and tell me where all the slaves live, all around the rest of the world.
Thing is, people aren't, we're not here to make those we're not here to have to go down that route. We're trying to solve a problem here.
I will do you all a favor, and because Cindy is here again, or has been here again, I will no longer attend these meetings. I apologize for any inconvenience.
Bye. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you where the Lord split you.
Well, that's your choice. It's just that that's usually something that's not appropriate here. It never is.
Hello. Can anyone hear me at all? Hello.
Yes.
Most of you guys are all contributing to the problem, and I'd love to get to join one day when you guys are actually making a difference. Thanks a lot for everything.
Is that Brian? Sounds like Brian.
Can anyone hear me? Amy?
That's Liam. He's a very nice guy.
Okay.
Amy? Hello? Can anyone hear me at all?
Yes, we can hear you as you speak over other people.
Sorry. Oh, no, Frank, please don't go there. Don't go there. Linda, really, seriously, I will go to the authorities about you.
Oh, honey.
Don't even put it. Don't
right
put it back
behind me. I've already.
Don't put it. Oh, whatever.
Is this caller?
It was a misunderstanding. It was a misunderstanding, and you will look like a fool. Sorry, Frank.
Cindy, is that the one speaking? Is Cindy?
Yeah, and Cindy.
One of them you already.
She's gone again.
Yeah, you need mental health.
God.
Yeah, she does.
She's got anger issues that are well beyond anyone here in this room or this go-to meeting.
She's threatened me verbally and in writing, and she's threatened me in writing on a few occasions, and I'm tired of it.
Linda, you better stop because I'm going to sue you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not playing with you. I'm not playing with you.
She just said to sue. Listen, if anyone is a person who should be targeted, Cindy, it sounds like you are the fine candidate because you seem to spread so much joy to everyone else.
Just everybody calm down.
I keep dumping her, and she keeps getting back on.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just I suppose we can all, once she starts talking, just stop talking, and then she'll run out of air.
Hello. Frank, can you stop whoever is muting me and booting me from this call? That is not fair to me.
Cindy, the line is yours. Speak what you have to say.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
There are many others who would like to speak as well.
I understand that, Frank. I am not an imbecile. Okay? Thank
Hey,
you.
Linda.
Yes.
Linda?
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't think you should feel bad because I hear her threatening all kinds of people on the call.
Oh, please. You know what? And this is defamation. And Linda, you are in my state. And I will go after you legally. You better shut your mouth. I'm telling you to shut.
She threatened Neil. She threatened all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Well, what you should do is think about moving your call to free conference call, because you can just disconnect people and they stay that way.
Yeah, you need to get rid of this person because she's making you look really bad, Frank.
All right, well, I'm going to stay on her.
Yeah, well, nothing's, because otherwise, whatever,
Yeah. I don't know what you think she's going to sue me for, but in any event, I don't know, but I'm tired of it, and I need to take care of it.
All right, well, I think she's going to be decent and not interfere anymore with the call.
Bring it, bitch, because
She's just full of it. Just ignore her.
Yeah, I'll dump her again. Gone.
Can you keep it on a positive note? I have something to add.
Sure.
Well,
just some ideas. When I'm in my shower, for whatever reason, I come up with these crazy ideas. But to end the calls with a positive note, like Lauren has done, and like Renata's done, to just end it on a word of wisdom, or something to ponder, or a prayer, or birthday, or something uplifting, like progress reports, something somebody's done and succeeded in, whether it's handing out flyers, or like in Linda's case, legal stuff that is really my weak area, that we all like to share that information.
Yeah.
Frank, you better stop, man. You better stop doing that to me. You better stop, Frank.
Of my call.
You better fucking stop. You better stop.
Get off.
I have not done anything wrong. I have not done anything wrong. I have not done anything wrong.
Wait, is this recorded?
I am a Christian woman, and I am going to...
Frank, is this call recorded, I hope?
Yes, it is.
Good. I might need it as evidence.
No problem.
This is crazy.
No, she's ruining the whole call. Every time I see her, I'm dumping her.
Yeah. Yes, she ruins lots of calls.
I am a Christian woman, and I have been wronged. I have been persecuted, and I'm not playing around.
This call is being
I am not playing around. I don't care.
Well, you need to care.
Yeah, really. She needs some help.
Yeah, she does.
Actually, I have to look at it comically, because that's the only way you can look at it. It's sad, but comedic at the same time. But
in the name of Jesus. I'm not playing. I love the Lord.
Good. We don't like you.
Yeah, really.
I don't believe this woman. Stay off my call. Our call. God.
So on a lighter note, I'd like to just say, if anybody has a birthday this month, that we can celebrate their birthday, whatever the month is. Just like keep everything on a positive note. So keep it personal as well as a group to try to keep it unhealthy, because we have enough negative, and they're playing us against each other. That's what they want.
Amy, they're lying on you. Amy, they are lying.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe you, because I lived in the capital city. But let's keep it on a positive, because we're struggling, you're struggling, we're all struggling, we're all in this together. And we got to be positive, because they want us to be negative. They want us to fight. They win if we do that. Let's not. Let's spread a little love. There's so little love out there, and there's, we have to keep like Steve
Amy,
Harvey,
this is Cindy.
Ellen.
I'm not trying to talk over you, sister. They're lying.
I understand.
She's not going to be on
I
this
do.
call.
Wow.
I get her. I get her frustration.
Done
and
here.
The Lauren call on Saturday is probably, I think it's best for her to get on those calls, and I will be on those calls because they're biblical in nature, and I think we need to refocus our energies there just to keep us afloat so that we can be effective, because we want to be effective. We want to do good. We want to see each other do good.
Yes, we do.
Hello.
That's our main purpose here.
Hi, go ahead.
Is it Tom? Tom, we're not all like that. Trust me.
Yeah.
And we don't all, none of us are, in fact.
I've never seen anything
else.
like that. I haven't.
No, I haven't.
It's a first for me.
Yeah, not out of them.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hi, this is Tide. Hi, Frank. I'm quite interested in I guess the hack RF, the radio frequency thing, and that sort of thing. I'm just becoming familiarized, and I've been spending a lot of time on that. Is there a call, or is anybody else familiar with this stuff that maybe we can go back and forth with on just to discuss different ideas that work on different frequencies? And
yeah, I wanted to ask about that. Frank, you said, I think it was James, when you guys were going to do that demo in D.C. I want to learn how that happens. How the BQK happens.
My system sends signals to the brain. It'll also receive signals from the brain.
Praise you, Jesus. Glory to God. Yes.
Are we recording this?
Yes. You can have it. You can have a copy.
Thank you.
Well, what I was going to say is my device are a series of piezoelectric devices, and what they do.
Praise you, Jesus. Glory to God. You can't fight me. He's my Lord. He's my Savior. He
I'm going to call the FCC. I'm going to call the FCC.
Yeah.
But beyond
the FBI.
But beyond the device that you guys are working on, I mean, just as a I guess a point of reference and to discuss different frequencies. Let's say I see a certain frequency that belongs to military or something like that, and then we can all say, yeah, I get that.
Hey, can I just those kind of things are everywhere. You may pick up those. You may pick those things up a lot of places, and that doesn't mean you can trace them back exactly to what's causing.
Oh, I know the number. Problem. Oh, I have the phone number. Oh.
What do you mean by that?
Sorry.
What do you mean blackout day for women? Today's blackout day.
Find a bunch of them
Today's
all
blackout
over the place. Right? Because there's so many sources of them all over the place. If you trace them,
I know you can eject her from the call.
That might not be the cause of what's happening to you. It's hard to
sure, no, I get that, right? But if we were to be able to say, like, all right, because when I'm talking about specifically, it's let's say I see something on 611 or whatever, right? And then I look it up, and the FCC, the license is for medical, telemetric devices. I mean, that's pretty significant, right? And I'm getting strong.
Not necessarily for you, because you don't have one. How are you physiologically able to receive something that's designed only to pick up what's transmitted specifically for that device?
Yeah, but why would I be getting such a strong signal at my house?
That's right, but you've got other strong signals, I'm sure, in your house or apartment that are just as strong or stronger, and nothing happens to you.
Right.
You might say that it's that specific frequency. You could find. I'm sure you could find out by going into a room or someplace where everything was blocked out and finding out, and if it stopped.
So getting a Faraday cage kind of thing, in and run it.
Not necessarily. No. There's a lot of people have used them. So have I, and they didn't do anything. They blocked the frequencies, but the stuff still remained. So then what?
Is this to do with a smart meter?
I don't think my
no,
amping it up?
No, that
or that doesn't have anything to do with it.
That wouldn't necessarily do it to everybody, and he was talking about a specific one, I guess, in his area that's from military source. Or, I'm sorry, medical sources. Medical sources are becoming more and more common.
I guess so.
Medical sources are more and more common because you have more and more at-home telemetry devices. And the wireless monitoring of things like when you have to wear what's called a Holter monitor at home to see if you have AFib for your heart, or you know, things like that. And so these kind of monitoring.
They came out with Watchman by Boston Scientific, the Watchman. They keep advertising on TV.
These things are becoming more and more frequent, and they're going to be colliding.
Yeah.
You could be reacting something that's colliding with something else that's causing it. It could be something that's only in passing. You don't know. It could be something that you never think of. It could be much lower tech than that, which is what I think. It's only because we can't perceive them that the very lower frequencies and the upper frequencies of natural human hearing are not perceptible by us after age 18.
You're saying it's much simpler.
This is where we tap into animals, that they can perceive these things that we can't. So if there's a way that we can isolate that,
even people
who
after a certain young age, we cannot use the full range of our human hearing because we live in a noisy, technological, machine-based culture. We lose our lower frequency.
Guess what? I know you guys don't like to pause in between your sentences, but I'm just wanting to tell something to Frank real fast. And I know you guys also discontinued the chat mechanism here, which is why I was able to utilize in the prior, but there is a way. You must first change your scheduled GoToWebinar event to manually approve under registration settings subcategory. Once this is complete, you will then need to approve or deny your registrant list after reviewing each participant's info from the list you posted above. So there is a way to permanently block any individual. You just have to go to manually approve under the registration settings subcategory. That's all. Thank you. Continue on.
Oh, so that is webinar.
That was under GoToMeetings question list.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, who's the gentleman talking about the RF stuff?
Yeah, who is that?
I didn't hear their questions.
What's your name?
Mike.
Mike, thanks, Mike.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Hi.
You were the one that did the demo.
No, I wasn't able to go. I supposedly got suddenly ill right beforehand. Supposedly,
I'm sorry.
It wasn't a supposedly illness at all. That was not an accidental thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
Hard to hear, Frank. Mike.
I had to wear my own medical device for a while after that, which I'm glad it's gone now. But the thing is, there's a lot of things that are around us now that you can ask. She's not here right now, but you can ask a friend of mine and a Frank's. You can ask Barbara. That people can get pulsed or bombarded by very low frequency things and very high frequency things that's still within the range of our human hearing. But because we've lost a lot of that capacity by age 25 or 30, that's how young we lose it. We are just maybe being affected bodily and mentally, psychologically by things that are actually fairly common in lower tech. We just can't perceive them anymore. We can't hear them anymore. We might feel them as physical effects. Right.
That would make sense.
I mean, when I'm scanning my RF, when I'm scanning through my different frequencies, I detect a couple things that I don't know what they're about. Like, for instance, one is the whole range will rise. It seems to be pulsing. That's what I think. Another thing will be as I'm scanning, you can only see the rises as you're actually moving through the frequencies. I don't know what that's about. So these kind of things, where might you say that might be a good thing to continue looking down that researching kind of thing? Like, where can I pick up where
if you have a smartphone, a decent smartphone, and you can download, I know they're kind of tinker toys right now, but it's the best you can do. If you can download apps that are something like, there's one that's called Frequency, S-E-E, Frequency on Google Play, and there's a couple other ones, I can't remember their names, but they'll give you a continuous graph and of both decibels and hertz. And and they're also, they have quite a few settings that you can individually adjust them for whatever you might need. You can also, if you have a decent enough smartphone, you can try it, although I doubt it. You can download apps that claim to be able to catch ultrasound frequencies that are a bit higher than 20,000 hertz. I don't believe it because the phone mics usually are not equipped to do that. So you'd have to buy special external mics. But a lot of these things that say they detect bat, flying bats, utterances or speech, whatever that's called. and or they can also send out signals that somehow do something to bats. That sounds really good, but I doubt phones can really do that because they're not, their systems are not, they wouldn't be that high end. Also, you could try something where you buy a new set of high-end noise canceling headphones that goes from 10 hertz to now, I think it's claimed 40,000 hertz. The newest ones, and I don't know if they're by Sony. I think they are Sony, but they're pricey. They're $350. I'm curious to see how they might work.
So I have the Hack RF.
Are you getting V2K? Is that why you're asking?
No, I'm not there yet. I'm just starting to get the buzzing and all that.
Yeah.
You know, like they're connecting. You can feel the connection going on, you know, but and sometimes I think I see you hear something, and I'm not there yet. But so I have the Hack RF.
Is there a cadence to it, though? Is it like speech?
What's that?
Is there a cadence to it? Like, does it feel like things are going through in the form of cadence, like words in speech?
No.
All right.
I
have tendencies to move my face like certain ways, which I've never had before, but that's all I can, yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Mike?
Yes.
I know this sounds like a real crazy idea, but metal detectors. If you had a metal detector and you held it up to your body, would it detect a chip, a RFID chip?
It most likely would. My friend Patty Seuss went through one of those high-end backscatter scanners at the airport where you stand and spread them and it's in a clear like a thing or something. And they caught something. They said, "You have a medical device," and she says, "No, I don't. I never had one."
Wow.
And they found. I don't remember the location, but I remember it was happened last year. So she's in line to go and get another consultation with one of the doctors there and try to, get some. I think she has a donation fund for the removal of some of them. I don't really know. I don't really know what stage of the process she's in, but yeah, they have seen.
Are you familiar with?
They insisted that she had it. They said, "Yes, you have, there's something in there."
Well, I think we all should think about that. Even if you bought one and you returned it the next day,
Well, buy a plane ticket and then take it back. Yeah, I know.
You know, but I thank you for your technical.
She stood in one of those the international ones that they have to be extra careful for.
Oh, the ones at the airport?
Yeah, the ones.
They're now doing eye scans at the airport, and I'm really afraid of what's next. I'm really afraid to go through the airport. What's next?
Those are very safe.
They're already doing mandatory eye scans. Well, actually, they're offering it up for you to be a quicker expediter through the lines. I haven't been on a plane in several years because I'm just getting freaked out by all this.
That's very safe. That's actually the safest of all because it's done with light. It's not done with any kind of radar. It's just done with light.
So is ultrasound, is that radiation also? Like MRI or ultrasound?
No, that's radio. That's radio frequency.
Sound.
Is that but does that cause radiation?
Yeah, sound in a way. Yes, sound.
Since I have it in my blood, I've been told I have extreme radiation poisoning in my blood that will never go away. Is that true? Do you think, or the medical doctors are just lying about that?
I don't know. I would have to read your report.
I think it was Mary or Elvira had talked about that they keep throwing her when she was ER or whatever. She's gotten picked up by them, and they brought her to, put her on hold for 72 hours, and they put her in the ER, and they would force her to get MRIs, which is unnecessary radiation. I believe
it's actually not. No, it's not. It's not radiation at all. It's just magnetic waves. It's not ionizing radiation. It's magnetic fields plus a radio signal that and they're not necessarily shooting it through you at a harmful rate. It does something to certain cells that makes them be able to read what's wrong with you.
So if you were, is there such a thing as realigning your body electric mode, whatever, electric mode
is no such thing. No.
Like a pH balance, how you can balance your pH by certain foods or
no, your conductivity can only be altered a very, very little bit by what they call, you've heard of the word electrolytes, which are sodium and potassium and calcium and all those things. That's why they have a plus or minus next to them. And it just, all it does is it means that you can pass a little bit of a current, very mild current through your tissues if they're in a certain balance in your system. But that current is very, very weak. It's not something that you would ever feel, or wouldn't make any difference in our case anyway. No.
So Mike,
Mike,
Mike, did you say that the electrolyte balance has something to do with the frequencies in our system?
No, the conductivity.
Conductivity
of just electricity that goes through, but it's very. When I say that, it means something very, very. Not even a little refrigerator bulb or a little Christmas light bulb. It's not even that much. It's very little.
Okay, but I'm wondering why when I get dehydrated like crazy, I get painful muscles. My back starts acting up.
Because what's happening is you're changing the way you're interfering with the way that's what conductivity is. You're interfering with the pathways that your brain and your muscles communicate electrically. And so it goes haywire. You might be, your muscles might be very flaccid or weak or flabby, whatever you want to call it, or they might be very, no. Or the other way.
Yeah.
I know I hate looking in the mirror lately, but the thing is, they might be very, they might be also very tense, or they alternate between these two things, and that causes what? That causes muscle cramps. That's why they tell you make sure electrolytes are in balance, because your muscles will start to twitch because the electrical impulses are not coming through in a very smooth fashion and a controllable fashion like you would normally.
So would it show up on the pH test? Because I know Linda had mentioned that she's really good about nutrition and talking about potassium.
No, that's
how to
something
balance
different.
out your levels.
Is either pH is acid or alkaline balance. You can buy little strips of paper.
Yeah, that I get. But I mean, so the supplements for like potassium and the stuff that's in Gatorade to balance out your electrolytes, is there a meter
don't take the pills. Take the foods.
That?
Don't take the pills.
Really? Don't take the
No,
supplement?
don't take the pills if you can afford it. If you can avoid not the potassium, it burns a hole right in your stomach. Don't do it.
Really? No wonder I've been having GI problems. Really serious GI problems.
Don't take potassium pills at all if you can help it. If you have to take them after you eat something real good like a cheese sandwich or a good container of yogurt or something, because it will burn you.
That's a good thing to know, because I've been very deficient, and especially a lot of us women as we get older, and men too.
You know what else you need for conductivity is you need water. You need to have good conductivity. You have to have water. You have to have a proper fluid balance. If you get too dehydrated, also, your system starts to malfunction because, again, electrically, it's all over the place. We're still a neuroelectrical chemical organism. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So, Mike, I have this hack RF going on GQRX. It's the spectrum analyzer.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah.
So, I mean, is that good enough to get me to some point where I can start detecting what's going on?
Sure. It might be, but the thing is, how are you going to go about it? You'd have to test, in other words, you'd have to test single frequencies in a relatively pure environment, right?
Right.
You have to get a signal generator. You have to have a pure environment. You'd have to have, and you could be assured that it was uniformly free of any kind of polluting signals, whatever you want to call it, intruding polluting signals. And that's why I brought up earlier, trying to get back to whatever I was talking about. I'm glad I could do it on a Friday night. Is that maybe we should all consider one of these times, if you hear about a donation fund or something for renting the equipment in anechoic chamber and whatever, a double Faraday system, kick in a couple bucks. I don't know if they're going to do that or not. I don't even know how much it costs.
So what would that buy you? The ability to get in the Faraday cage?
No, it doesn't buy it. It rents it. We would rent it for a day or two, but you could do a lot more TIs that way than you could any other way we have so far.
So what do you do in that cage?
You rent what?
What is it you rent? And the room.
What do you do in that room in a Faraday cage? Why? Why a Faraday cage?
The rule, because you have to have a double, because you want to be sure that nothing else is coming in or going out that's going to skew, that's going to pollute the results of your tests or of your results.
Why? Because this technology is not resistant to a Faraday cage? In other words, it penetrates Faraday cage? Is that the idea?
Correct.
Okay.
Can you explain Faraday?
Faraday is just something that's an enclosure it takes any kind of signals that is outside of it, and it pulls it into the ground. When you have any kind of radio frequency energy and you surround it with a certain kind of material that has that is conductive to it and keeps it from passing through, you can. What happens is all the waves stick to the outside of it, and they want to find the quickest way they can to ground, and you put a wire in the ground, and there they go.
It's akin to being in a lightning storm and flipping your canoe over and getting underneath.
Yeah.
And when the lightning hits the canoe, it used the skin effect of the shield to go around you, and it never hits you. It goes straight to ground. So Faraday cage.
The problem is,
that's traditional engineering that we knew, right? We never knew about all the scalar stuff, and I'm an electrical engineer. I never heard of scalar till now.
And so that's not what we have to be concerned about, really. There's really nothing to be concerned about when you're talking about scalar waves, because that's
Can you explain again, Faraday? I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on stupid.
Faraday is just the name of the person who invented it.
James Faraday.
You're taking something and you're putting it around you that takes all the signals, can't pass through it. So if you're inside of it, it just stays on the outside of the enclosure, the shelter that you're in. And if you take a wire or a grounding rod and you put it in the ground, all the energy and all the waves that try to get in to attack you are looking for the fastest way to get to the earth, so they go around you and down into the ground.
Can you rent this machine?
It's not a machine. It's just a cover, an enclosure.
That's a room.
A room. You know what I tried? I even tried one years ago when I first had this. I tried one by taking. No, it's just a cage. It's just a covering. And what you do is, we took one of those greenhouses that was a little gazebo from Home Depot, and we turned that into a Faraday cage because you could still see through it. We made sure that the mesh was a proper type, and we tried it with that.
Is it like a hyperbaric chamber? Is that what you're describing?
No, it's like a screen. If you think of it as a screen house, when you go out in the summertime and you don't want to get bit by bugs or mosquitoes, you go in this little thing that you buy, and it's a screen house, and you go and sit in there maybe to read or listen to the crickets or some stuff like that. And no bugs can get in, right? Because it's the holes are too small for the insects to get through. Same thing with the energy. The holes, when you see when you look at your microwave oven window, there's a piece of screen right there. The size of those little holes in that screen is the right size so that the microwaves can't come through the glass and blind you or cook you. Those squares are smaller than the microwaves, than the frequency of the microwaves themselves. That's why they can't get through. Same thing with the bug screen house, or the same thing with a Faraday cage. The mesh on the screening is too small to allow the waves to get through. If the bugs can't get through, they usually crawl around for a while and fly off and figure, oh, the hell with it, I'll go find some other dinner. And the energy, the waves have to, if the energy is trying to come in, it can't either. So it looks for some way else to go on its path to find its way to ground. And that's why when you're connected to it doesn't matter as long as you're enclosed.
So go on about
the... Where do you get that Faraday screen?
You can buy them.
Is this Amy?
Like, what do they cost? Yeah.
I don't know.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Amy. Amy from California?
I hear you. Yeah.
Hi. You know about all that by now.
I know, but we've been missing you, Linda, when we heard you on the call. And you got into that banter with Brian. We have to set him straight. I mean, he's got good information, but his the behavior, if he could just tone it down. And I think he's starting to listen and hear that.
What are you talking about, honey?
But Brian...
Is that what Brian, too, was saying?
We were upset, that he got on you and everybody else. And it's like, it's not a beat-up contest. We're not here to beat each other up. And I think because he's so isolated out there that he... and I know, I grew up with a brother exactly, personality type, exactly, that you have to know how to address the behavior because he gets so out of control. And I used to get out of control. You remember. I was enraged when I found out about this. I was venting it at anyone and everyone because I was in such shock. And that just perpetuated what they wanted, is to instill anger and rage that I didn't know I had. So I did have to take a vacation, not vacation. Yeah. Like I had to take a break from the calls because I had to look within and be in prayer and be mindful and look at my behavior. So I think with all the stimulus, they're trying to create this behavior as well as or induce it. I guess it's a good word, induce it. And so when I feel that, then I have to just check out and get off the call, take a breath, say a prayer, read something, distract myself, redirect my thoughts and my behavior.
So we should do more to prevent disruptions like that, because we could really make these calls very, useful.
Yeah, Brian's got good input, but it's just the way, I don't think he is aware that he can control his behavior. Maybe they're controlling his behavior.
No, that's fine. I mean,
I think that's a possibility.
And also, like, maybe limit the amount of time that we talk about these kind of incidents. Once they're over,
because you know why? We're not here. We're not here to give people therapy. I'm not here to give people therapy.
Yeah, Mike, what were you saying about why weren't you concerned about the scalar stuff? What were you saying about that?
Scalar is not something that you would be able to influence or measure accurately. Either way, even if it was, it wouldn't. We don't have the capacity to do that.
Yeah, but why are you looking for the double Faraday cage? What is that doing?
Because that when you have any kind of penetration of a primary one, first of all, there's a possibility that even when you have an anechoic chamber and a Faraday setup that's fairly coherent, that you are going to have some leakage or some seepage, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know. I can't think of the words right now. And so, and if you have a double layer, if you have another screening within a screening, sometimes that helps.
I got these friends
where
over
would one get a Faraday?
And they have a Faraday cage, and I'm trying to get access to it because right now,
who does?
That's great that you have that. You have access? Wow, that's great.
Yeah, these guys at Bell Labs, which is Nokia. I live in Murray Hill in New Jersey, New Providence, and Bell Labs is right here. So, and I play soccer with these guys. They've known me for years. So I started talking a little bit about it, and a couple of guys are listening to me who know about microwaves, and one of the guys has access to Faraday cage. So he came over to my house yesterday, and I showed him some of the stuff, and he's listening. I mean, he's still saying, like, you sure this isn't in your mind kind of thing? I'm like, no, man, it's not.
No, it's not. No,
it's not. They've known me for years, so they know I'm not like that, So.
No, it's not.
So you have access to a Faraday?
They have access to it, and they're saying they might help me get access to it just to test my theories.
That's a big thing.
I actually went to MIT in 2002. I got in there. I'm surprised they even let me in, and they put me in a room there, and they tried all these different frequency generators, and nothing.
Nothing. Were you feeling anything?
Nope. And I even had a relative who was a ham radio operator, and I stood right next to his beam antenna that was right on the ground outside of the house, and I got 1,000 and then 1,500 watts of RF energy from lots of different amateur radio frequencies. I stood right there. It was a nice clear spring night and nothing.
You're not EMF sensitive.
I know I am. I'm sure I am.
I don't think so. I think it's something else.
I think they did something, or something happens in the body when you get older that you become more conductive, or some people are more conductive than others. I know I'm always been highly hypersensitive to, like an animal, and it became more so when I had near-death experience. It really heightened things, and I really hated it at first, but then I started to deal with it and try to monitor it, by spiritual methods, by medical methods, to try to look inward at the medical first before I start giving anybody credit for doing these horrible things with these energy weapons that I know full well about, that are being used overseas in the military. And I have talked to active duty that I see here regularly. A lot of the more seasoned military people know about it. But the young junior enlisted people have no clue about it, about the God voice, and how they're able to throw things out there. Because I was active duty. I know the Air Force. I'm embarrassed to say that I served that many years in the Air Force, not knowing any of these things that were brought over from the Nazi Stasi, which is exactly what they're doing with us now, is monitoring everybody's every thought, every call, every internet, everything.
Mike, what's your theory on how they're doing
On what?
What's your theory on how they're doing this?
I don't really have one yet. I don't have enough information. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough equipment. I don't think that people are monitoring your every thought. I don't think that people are monitoring our every
I don't think
anything
so
at all.
either.
Otherwise, they look at if this system was supposed to be so wonderful and was supposed to be so all-encompassing and so powerful, they wouldn't need all these idiots on the ground swirling around you at home and at where you work, whatever, to do all this goofy stuff to try to weird you out.
Do you think it's just a drone or something flying around?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's something.
Why does it follow you everywhere?
Say it again.
What?
How is this able to follow you? I go different places and I get shocked.
Well, nothing's following you. If you think, look at it, you're missing the point. If it's something that's being used radio frequency-wise or energy-wise or transmission-wise, nothing has to follow us. The infrastructure is already in place for any number of things. Just think of your phone.
That makes sense.
Here's something that people don't realize. Your phone and your PC or your desktop and lots of different devices in your home now, including apps that are and certain I'm sorry, I can't think fast enough. Certain applications on Facebook are having your computer speakers and phone speakers put out very high frequency tones to find out where you are and if you're looking at certain things online or on Facebook or where you happen to be, if you're near some kind of stores, whatever. And it has nothing to do with mind control, actually. It has to do with commerce, of course. It has to do with seeing if they're buying something. Let's see where they are. They're going to.
Has to do with what?
With commerce, with advertising, with how much can we get these people to buy what we want them to? It's all about consumerism. Right. So they're setting these signals out, trying to find out, are they looking at stuff online that they're going to buy? Are they shopping? Are they shopping? That's all this is. The thing is, these devices are talking to each other, and we are unaware of it because the frequency is too high. We cannot perceive it. This is what I keep trying to tell people. Things are going on all around us nowadays. We cannot perceive it because we have lost a lot of our upper range and very lower range natural hearing frequencies. We're just not aware of these things happening. That's all. These things are
how do we tap into that? How do we tap into controlling it?
That's a good question. I haven't thought of that yet. The thing is, the reason I have Audio Spotlight is because it uses two different ultrasonic frequencies to create a third, and it creates an effect of voices in your head very well. And it even does it for Sophie, my little terrier. It really does it.
Can you explain to a layman how that works exactly? Because I'm not. I used to be very difficult when I worked in high
frequencies that you cannot hear, and puts a signal on the two of them. When they hit a person's head, you hear the third frequency. It's called heterodyning. The two frequencies mix and create a third one. That third one is what you hear the result inside your head, and so it's a very strange imitation of V2K, I guess you could say. And no one else can hear it around you.
This is what Brian keeps trying to explain about the electromagnetic field that we're being attacked by, and then you mentioned the other term.
Brian is saying it's something. Brian is always trying to tell people that it's something that's very, very out there and edgy, and all-knowing, some kind of supercomputer or whatever. They are never going to waste money. Believe me, they're never going to waste money on people like this.
Martian.
That makes total sense.
They're not going to bother with that. And if the system was so powerful and so all-encompassing and all-controlling, you wouldn't be able to use pleasing music or whistle a happy friggin' tune to be able to tune it out. It wouldn't allow you to do that.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Thank you for your comedic view on that.
You wouldn't even be able to come to these calls. You wouldn't be able to have the thought processes to come to these calls to say that something was wrong. You would not be allowed to. That wouldn't even occur to you.
Can I get the gentleman's email that was asked that's barbecuing that asked that question? How do they know? The gentleman that asked the question, how do they know? Because he gets hit all the time everywhere he goes. His email?
Me?
His name is Tom.
Tom's email?
I think Tom is gone.
Oh. He just asked the question, and Mike tried to answer, but I sure know how they know where I am.
So,
Mike, will you be going to the October conference?
Yes.
Me too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll be there with the Audio Spotlight and a couple other devices to try and help, see if it helps people, see if it helps wipe out what's happening to them in their head.
Awesome.
That's hopeful. That's very hopeful to look forward to, you know, whether we can go or whether we can't, to bounce off your knowledge and Frank's knowledge. And
people know where you're going. Listen, for that other, I don't know, that other person who just said that, a lot of times they know where you're going just because you're a person who lives in an apartment or lives in a house. If your neighbors want to watch you or people want to watch you, it's not so difficult to do.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not hard.
It's not.
Okay,
It's not.
I go to the same
God
spot.
had asked the question. He's still on there. He just said awesome. And
Yeah, this is
and
Tide.
I know because somebody spilled a bean way back when early on and told me there was a tracker on me. I know there is. Karen Stewart knows there is one on her. David Boyce confirms what I see around me. And even if I had no phone with me, everybody has phone tracking capability. It's all a big game on your phone. It's like Pokemon Go. Players log in and can play the game and update your location.
Yeah, but do we have any proof of this? Anybody come out with any proof?
No, that's the point.
No,
People say these things very easily, but they do not. You have never seen anyone take one out and say, "This was taken out of me," and put it on the table in front of you. This is what's happening.
That's correct. That's correct. Karen, to the gentleman who just asked the question, can I get his email? Karen Stewart is working on it. She's got a lead, but she wants to keep it hush.
It's Tide.
Oh, it's good.
It's TIED NJ.
Okay. Hang on. I wasn't ready. Go ahead. TI what?
TIED
Yeah, I know.
NJ at Gmail. Tide NJ at Gmail.
NJ at Gmail. TIED.
TIED NJ.
E as in every, D as in dog. NJ.
Okay.
Tide
NJ.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
what is it again? TIED
NJ, like New Jersey, at Gmail.
and NJ and what?
This is nothing. This is not. No one has ever. Though they can say anything they want. I have the greatest respect for all these people. But the thing is, they have never shown, and they have never yet been able to show any, get a doctor to say to them, they can take these out and show you that they're being tracked. So it doesn't matter. If I'm wrong, that's fine. I don't mind being wrong.
You don't need a medical. You don't need anything inside you in order for people to have your photo put on this game that's on your phone.
Look, if that's true, that just means people are recognizing you by the way you look.
That's correct. Because
they've been doing that since, look, they've been doing that since the early, wait a minute, they've been doing that since the early 2000s just with text and picture messaging. That doesn't have anything to do with tracking.
It lets people know exactly what you look like. They always make sure there's a current photo on me. And Karen and David Boyce both confirmed that this is one way they use to know where you are.
They might agree with you. They might agree with you, but we don't know if that's always true for everyone.
Right, that's correct. Karen's story is the same as mine. She sees, and David sees the same things I do everywhere I go.
What do you see everywhere you go?
I can tell that everybody is on their phone updating my location.
Ma'am, what people do a lot of times, I'm going to tell you what, you understand what a PSYOPS is. Do you know what a PSYOPS means?
Yes, but they don't have to tell me. I already know. And Karen and David both confirmed this, and Karen Stewart says the same darn thing.
So what? So am I. You're not paying. You're not listening. So am I. I'm saying the same thing. That doesn't mean people are. They might be pretending to look at you and look down at their phone and update and do whatever.
I know what's going on around me. I don't care about pretending. I know exactly how it's done.
Okay.
And when somebody fills the game and says there's a checker on me, I know exactly what he meant.
All right, then why are you asking me?
Why what?
Why were you asking me?
I wasn't asking you. I want to answer the gentleman's question who was asking.
All right.
And these more expensive devices, Mike, you're talking about, apart from the Faraday cages, Is it just a broader spectrum that you're able to?
It's a broader spectrum. You have to have and it's like an extra layer of protection. You might have something one that goes up to a certain frequency. Maybe one goes up to 3,500. You might want another one that goes up to 12G.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know I don't know what they can afford or what they do. I don't know if they have anything that. After a while, it just gets to be a solid piece of material. It's not something that's porous, really.
It almost sounds like Yeah, but it's gonna be. Is it gonna be the same frequencies for everybody? You think? No.
No, but the thing is, the smaller the mesh, the more of them that it keeps out. So you get smaller and smaller mesh because you go higher and higher frequencies.
What I mean is, different target individuals, are they going to be suffering from the same frequencies, you think, or is it going to be random?
No, I don't think so. I think there might be a few. If that happens, there might be a few of them, a few groups of them. But I think something else is happening.
My point is,
something else is happening too.
See, I agree with you in that I don't think it's as sophisticated as people paint it to be, like scalar and all that. But at the same time, how can it be that it targets me, but it doesn't target my wife who's standing 2 feet away from me?
That's a good point.
Maybe your magnetic field or your sensitivity to it is more so than tuned in than them.
Right, and I think that people, because of what's been done to them on the lower end of the spectrum, of the lower tech stuff, like all the street people and all the subliminals and all the whatever's done to them and all the cueing and all the psyops, I think that people have been made to be more reactive a lot of times to a lot of these things. And you're a powerful. We are powerful. Our own powerful placebos, unfortunately, and we can be induced to have a lot of different things go on. Some people do not react to certain frequencies as much as others for different reasons. Lower ends of the hearing spectrum and higher end of the hearing spectrum.
Well, I'll tell you what.
They might experience it as something else that you do, or not at the same level of intensity.
I'll tell you what, my daughter does suffer from something because she's getting stressed out from this stuff. She doesn't hear the things because I kind of asked her a little bit. I don't ask her too much. But my wife doesn't feel any of it. But my daughter does feel some of it, and that's what scares me.
Well, some people.
I would not to date myself, but I think
pets will show you sometimes that they have this problem along with you.
You know what this reminds me of?
V2K and people are doing these things to me. Sophie looks in the same direction. How did that happen? How does that happen? That's not V2K.
Would that be kind of a similar thing to rabbit ears? Like, back in the day, I'm really predating myself here, but back in the day, rabbit ears, you put tinfoil on to be more protective?
No, it's just good. It's just good ears. It's not V2K.
Oh.
It's just good ears. What I call it is neighbor 2K. I call it neighbor 2K, which was something a lot lower tech.
Don't you think it's more like resonance?
Would you agree that it's intuition-based, too? That we're more highly, as we become more highly knowledgeable or intuitive?
No.
I think it depends on how much metal you have in your system. And I wanted to ask if anyone is on a regular detox protocol to get this stuff out of your body.
Such as what?
Aluminum, barium, the stuff that's in our food, the chemtrails that they're dropping on us. Because I think that is making us more conductive and more susceptible.
That doesn't get
would anyone agree that the water has maybe something to do with?
No, I don't agree with that. The reason I don't agree with either of those things is because there would be a hell of a lot more people reporting this if they were true.
And for me, it started overnight. It wasn't something I just started,
There would be a lot more people. You'd have a lot of people coming out of everywhere, the woodwork, saying, look, wait a minute, this is really, I can't deal with this. This has never happened to me before. And that wouldn't cause
the water.
No, that wouldn't cause, that wouldn't cause the people on the street coming around doing all the weird things to you. That wouldn't cause people coming into your apartment or your home have covert entries. That wouldn't cause all the stupid physical psyops that they have to do and they keep doing in order to keep you a little bit on edge and jacked up and anxious and fearful and intimidated.
But there's got to be a very important reason why they do that. Significant.
I don't know why. Those things I can't answer. They could be, people could be. Look, that kind of thing has been around for hundreds of years. You could read stories about it happening in Tsarist Russia and in pre-Soviet times, and then in Soviet, and from that time on, it really ramped up. It was just called population collaboration. It was anything different then.
But it's so tightly tied into the electronic torture kind of thing, like that.
How do you know? They did it a lot better than this country seems to be doing it now, and they had none of that. None.
Yeah, I just talked to a lady here from, well, she's from Eastern Europe, from Hungary, and I haven't actually asked her, but I said, you know, about Brian mentioning we need an exit strategy to leave this country soon when it all hits the fan. And I asked her, I asked her about. I told her that, you know, I've had a plan for at least 10, 20 years to figure out how I could do it, but they're talking about getting rid of
do yourself a favor.
the security.
Don't waste any money and don't waste any time thinking about that if you can help it. I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people don't believe it. No, wait a minute. Here's the thing. This country will always be here. You are an American, deserve to be here, and this is the freest, believe it or not, it sounds kind of corny. You think that you don't have freedom here. This is the freest country you'll ever experience in your lifetime. You go to any of these other countries, you even ask Brian too, he's gone all over the world, and all he does is spend his money going from place to place and complaining about the same thing or worse.
Yeah, we don't have that luxury.
You want to have to leave the comfort of your own country where you're familiar and you speak the language, you can get good medical care. You will always be safe if for the most part, and you know, you won't have to worry about being a stranger in a strange land. This country will always be here, and the people that are experiencing this in this country have to let other people know, because if they really want to have the freedom that they believe they have, they deserve to know what's going on and deserve to try and get it back again. That's why.
Well, when she left Hungary, she said they're actually moving to Nevada. And I said, why would you want to do that? She just said, well, because of wildfires. And I said, would you agree that our the FOI or the FOIA, how it opened up the door for FOIA and tapping everybody's everything? She agreed. She was actually going to move to Germany, but she said definitely not France. So she said France is really infiltrated, really bad. So she said she lived in South America. She lived in Mexico.
It's all over the place.
But she said, don't waste your time. She agreed leaving the United States because she'd been in the United States a long time, and she had seen the difference between our government and, let's say, for example, the German government. And I do agree that, like Berlin, where Julian Assange has spent a lot of time, and a lot of other Snowden, you know, who's still in Russia, and they do collaborate. Julian Assange and Snowden do collaborate. She's sent private jets for him in Russia to try to help relocate him. But, you know, it's surprising that the Russians would even, when the Russian dictator Putin was interviewed, it was interesting to say when they, you know, Oliver Stone asked him, and do you think he's a terrorist? Do you think he's committing treason? And he said, well, sure, because if you didn't like your job, then you should just leave. But he was trying to say that's not the point. The point is, just like Julian Assange said, the point is we want a better world for everybody, and if we can prevent it, or we can do something to,
and that's true, but it's also where you belong. People that this has happened to never did a damn thing that to cause any of this attention to being brought on them. They never did any kind of crime that you think that they're going to try to guilt you into thinking that you did or whatever. It means nothing, because what these people are doing to you from the very beginning is 1,000 times worse than any of the crimes you could ever think of committing in your life. So it doesn't really matter what they say or do or what problems we're having right now. This is where you belong. This is the life that you deserve, because this is where you were born. Just because.
Hey guys, can I say?
Yeah.
Can I say something ever so quickly, please? I just wrote in the comment section. This small little piece, which is, if the whole population was not being targeted, we would be in a state of panic crisis, similar to the social test of the Rodney King beatings and the LA riots. They needed a test subject or a test period in order to tell the difference. The subject was a pre-LA riots. Hold on, I'm almost done. The subject was pre-LA riots, an event that occurred because of no chemtrails, public outrage, and now endless numbers of killings by cops and yet no real public outcry. And can you fair folks not see this writing that's on the wall? That obviously our entire behavior patterns have changed as a species of life. We are no longer willing to stand up to our oppressors. Are you not aware of that there are diseases that cats carry and other things that make it so rats are just more than happy to go right in front of a cat even though they know the cat's about to kill it? They have been mentally warped and they no longer function properly. That's all. Just wanted to add that to everyone's mind.
So Liam, you're saying that everybody is under kind of mind control right now, but they don't know it.
I mean,
the thing that's doing it the worst is the thing that you sit in front of a lot of times during the day when people are posting or doing whatever. People have become so desensitized to various things, and they become so detached to everyday compassionate, relating to one another compassionately and humanely or whatever because of the internet. Think of those guys that recorded that man drowning in that pond in Florida. Now, that's a very good example of something like that.
Yeah, none of that is normal human behavior.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it makes it very easy now for people to become more detached from something, and especially if they have no chance of getting caught and no chance of what's that called?
Consequences.
Consequences for their actions doing this to people, and they can kind of do it in a drive-by fashion if it's socially or if it's whatever. I have people that do things in a small town I live here socially every day with this nonsense, and that's on them. That's what they decide to do. That's what they choose to do. That's fine. What am I supposed to do at this point? But this is how it has been done for so long, for so many decades that people have been allowed to do this in small towns and big cities all over the place. The thing is, you can use the internet in the opposite direction and use it to try to network and try to build awareness and build strength and build the capacity to understand and analyze it and get right and analyze it and find out what it is and what it is not and help get rid of it. That's all you got to do.
That's a good point.
It's a lot of work, but it's not easy.
Thank you for your compassion.
But where's this work being done? I mean, how is just anybody organizing this thing, this work?
Well, I mean, people just hear spotty here and there. I'm doing.
Did you know about the October?
I don't have any money. I don't have any assistance. I don't have any whatever. I just have people I talk with all over the place. Yeah.
How might I be?
What was the other gentleman's name? The engineer.
I'm
the one in New Jersey.
I'm T.I. Ed. My name's Ed. I go by Todd.
What was you go by Todd?
Todd.
So let me just make sure. Ty, T-I-E?
He says tied, like in tied up, T-I-Ed.
Oh, I see.
Makes the word tied.
Okay, so that's your email is T-I-E-D, New Jersey?
NJ at Gmail.
Okay, at Gmail? Yep. Okay, thanks, Todd, because I have a technical guy who runs the surveillance shop in Orange County. I'm in San Diego, and I lived in Orange County for 10 years. That's where they really cooked me and heated me up. And I thought I had a fever. I thought I had the flu, but it wouldn't go away for 2 weeks. And that just is when I didn't know what I didn't know before this group. I didn't know any of this stuff, what was going on. I was in the ER more times than not, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. They just loaded me up on potassium and IVs. I said, don't give me any medication because I'm not going to take it. Just give me lots of fluids.
Were you anemic?
Like Linda was saying, dehydrated. Huh?
Were you anemic at all?
Yes, I have been for a long time. It wasn't diagnosed until me leading active duty military. One doctor was able to assimilate that I am slightly anemic, and I'm the only one in my family. But I don't have the things that they have. But here's something interesting. Since you're an engineer, and Mike's an engineer, and Frank's an engineer, all that, there was something called Landon's disease that they discovered in Ecuador. Landon's disease is this person, it's dwarfism, but they basically don't age. This person who's, I believe, 18, looks like he's 8 years old, and he does not get cancer, and he does not get all these diseases. So, it's something that everybody should look up, Landon's disease, L-A-N-D-O-N, and it's actually they brought him here to the U.S. to study him because this is stopping the aging process, like way in its track and stopping disease that they want to keep emitting and using biological weapons to give us cancer. So we do have some good things that are happening with different groups, but we have to keep an eye on these universities because I believe, you know, everybody's kind of been in sync. The universities are getting funding, they are getting involved, so we have to keep an eye on the money that's flowing from government to these universities to fund projects.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Trillions.
So if we can dig into those segments of the rabbit hole, we can maybe get with some of those people that are doing the research and try to win them over to our side to make them realize that what they're being told is not the whole picture, and win them to our side.
Problem is the money. We don't have any of it, and they have
Right.
lots.
If you're having,
and when you're a poor college student, you know, a lot of these are poor college students that don't have money either. They're trying to make a difference, they think, in the world, when actually they are doing something positive. But at the same time, they don't know that their grants that they're working under, the funding they're working under, is actually diabolical.
Somebody mentioned going directly through the cognitive science, you know, the psychologies and those kind of researchers, because those are the people that are organizing this stuff. They're the only one. They're the only link that know the whole program, right? Because then you get like engineers who just works on satellites or whatever. But these psychologists, they're the ones that are designing this. They know exactly precisely what's going on, and those are the people.
All you have to do a lot of times is take it apart bit by bit and try to apply it to yourself. There's a lot of things that you can do if you look up NLP online, neuro-linguistic programming, which is a system developed in the 70s to try and help people get rid of bad habits or destructive behaviors, and now that has been co-opted by these people, one of the tools, and they use it in the opposite direction. They use it as to reinforce negative emotions to innocuous situations or whatever that cause tension. You also can find out that things that might help you physically, you could find out if you're having problems that are physically related to whatever symptoms you're. Try things like TENS units, or let me see.
Yeah, I have a TENS unit. What would that do?
Bone conduction headsets, like aftershocks headsets. Those are things that might be able to help modify whatever's happening to you in your head or your various parts of your body that do not.
Oh, that would help, the TENS unit?
Through your ears. It might. I don't know. I don't have the money to try these things.
By the VA. They gave me a TENS unit, but you can buy them very cheaply now, and I'm glad that they're offering those on the free market for, you know, little to none.
There are lots of relaxation. There's a lot of long playing videos and that are excellent for relaxation or subliminal or focus or different things like that. There are binaural beat apps that you can find, you know, also there or on your phone. There's a lot of different things that will help you with frequency generators to see if you can match the pitch of your tinnitus. You know, I don't know. There's quite a few things around that you can kind of put together your own little package to try and at least minimize some of it. If you're having problems where you have feel sensations or vibrations or twitches or whatever in your extremities, some people are helped by what's called, I think it's called a pressure blanket, which is all for autistic blanket for autistic kids. I think it is. Yeah, and it's it's called weighted blanket. And
weighted
that somehow
blanket?
alters the sensation and the vibrations of your different, because bone conduction and vibration is also doing something that overstimulates the nerve endings at the either ends of your muscles. It's a lot of different things.
What kind of blanket was that again?
Weighted, W-E-I-G-H-T-E, yeah, weight. And,
okay, got it. Weighted blanket.
You can don't forget. You can even ask Frank. You can have piezoelectric sound conduction from your feet or ankles, and that you can hear the words and music clearly in your head. So you might be receiving something from a totally different part of your body. You know, you're from the bottom up rather than from the top down, depending. Anything can be happening that we're not aware of because we're misperceiving it, and we think that it's happening a certain way because we read about it. Somebody posted or somebody passed it on to me, and we said this and that. It's happening this way. Not necessarily. No, we don't know yet.
Right. Thank you.
We don't know. Try earplugs. Try to see if earplugs or anything like even earplugs in one ear might help, because you might be reacting to some kind of stimulation in one ear or the other that you're not aware of through ultrasound or low frequency infrasound. Infrasound is very effective in doing that. And now car sound systems and subwoofers in many cars can imitate these types of things from a long distance away.
Well,
where
and you're on it because when I went, I'm a Christian, I'm not a Buddhist, but I went to, I had a friend who's a professor at a university, a very major liberal arts college where they're all Japanese, yes, Jewish, Middle Eastern people, and they had talked about this technology. Actually, they didn't even talk about it. In the Buddhist cult, or whatever you want to call it, culture, they do this chanting thing, and it's in a very low frequency, like
And that's a resonance. That's a resonant vibration. Right. That's a resonant vibration.
I felt negativity from that. If that makes any sense, is there a correlation?
Yeah, because the very low frequencies can affect people and make them misperceive things. It affects you physiologically, but may produce emotive states like a sadness or like a fear or agitation or something that they can't really put their finger on. And very low frequencies.
So this is kind of spiritual, also in nature, like when we hear angelic music, like at Christmas time or whatever, that it's more of a happier sound as versus going to, like my experience being Catholic, going with the cult-like sounds, low frequency, to Baptist type, non-denominational.
That depends on your culture, though. They might look at that as their culture might, and that group might look at it that what they're doing is very helpful and pleasing, because that's how they've learned to interpret it. We've learned to interpret culturally Christmas music that's all happy and high pitch and high frequency, whatever, as being something happy and positive. But other cultures might think, wow, that stuff drives me nuts. What the hell's wrong with you? So.
I felt the darkness, that there was maybe a scientific as well as a
psychological reason for it, because frequencies below 20 hertz, which a lot of things are able to produce that nowadays, affect you adversely. That's why when they have ads in some states for IMAX theaters with those surround sound systems, the real good ones, they say in very small print in certain places, they warn you that it may affect certain individuals who are sensitive or have different conditions, and it may produce nausea, fear, disorientation, depersonalization. Yeah.
Wow. So maybe that guy that did the shootings at that theater in Colorado, maybe there was something psychosomatic about it that caused him
he was like that before, though. He was like, he went there with intent.
Yeah, he did go there with intent, but he could have been mind controlled. I know Jeffrey Dahmer was. I know Timothy McVeigh was, and MK Ultra.
I don't know why this happens to people. I don't really. We may find out. We might not. It's hard to say with this individual thing. Why do some people, when they go out in the spring, it's like when some people go out in the spring and summertime, some people love it and they have no problem. Some people start sneezing as soon as they open the door and their eyes turn red and they can't go out there, and forget it.
Yeah.
They're all allergic. Same thing.
But
somebody is making you allergic. See, the thing is, in this case, somebody is trying to make you, quote-unquote, allergic. You're not really allergic. Somebody is using things deliberately, a combination of things, to make you think something is happening that is not. It is not happening.
But I have to look at the medical first, because I know at age 12 I started having allergies, and I didn't have them before that age. And
well, yeah, allergies are different. That's a physical thing. Allergies are not something that I just try to make you. I just try to give you that comparison. I'm just trying to say people are trying to make you think that certain things are happening, and they have all this power on you to control you and mind control you. They really don't. But the thing is, if they keep certain pressures on you long enough and keep weirding you out long enough, it's like a slow burn form of when people trap you and try to get you into a cult. They keep you there, they control your environment, they isolate you, and they do all these weird things to you, and then you start kind of believing what they tell you to, because that's the only thing you're really allowed to have much input from. It's kind of the same thing with us, except where it's a very long and much slower thing. And these people might be practicing for trying to do it on a greater scale later on in future. I don't see how, because a lot of them are so dumb that do it. They couldn't practice. They should just practice tying their shoes, as far as I'm concerned. But the thing is, the thing is, they're all doing this for whatever reason. Just a lot of them do it just to fuck with you. A lot of them do it just because they want to see you twitch. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I saw the movie Deja Vu with Denzel Washington, and what you're talking about, electromagnetic fields, it was so spot on. I don't believe, there's always a hint of truth in that everything along with the fantasy and the fiction, but when I looked it up and saw that it's actually real, how he was able to go into the past at the present moment. He was able to go in the past and change the past because there was some electromagnetic field that
that I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I don't get into that. That's conjecture, and it's too complicated to try and talk about it. But look, here's a good example. I live in a small town. I moved to a small town just to see how it would help me. If it helps or not, we'll find out. Okay, socially, here's what happens. People start to do these weird things here to me, these goofy things. They start to come in and out of the apartment, and everyone around you says, no, it's not true. Blah, blah, blah. They try to tell you that in V2K. Of course it's true. I have pictures of it. Of course it's true. But they're betting on you're not going to say anything because you'll be looked at as nuts. Well, I'm already looked at as nuts, so the hell with it.
Join the club.
The hell with it. So, but the thing is, on any given day, and I can photograph it now, and I can photograph it more easily in the near future. People will do strange things to me deliberately all during the day, and this was true for today too. I had a person who at 7-Eleven, when I went up to go buy something, they were right there, and they actually they wore like was it called a partial denture or full denture? They actually popped them out and stuck them out at me just when no one else was looking, just to see how I would react. I was like, what a nutcase.
That's it. And you have to look at.
And that's on camera. No, and they do all these little things to like kind of disturb you or weird you out, and it's on camera. I don't give a damn. And I've had an electrical guy from New York State Electric and Gas across the road when I'm coming home walking my dog, doing some kind of NLP stuff. A big burly guy in his hard hat and vest and all that. He's going to stand there and do all these positions and posturing to me. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I got his picture. Big fucking deal. And some other kids walking by did some other kind of crap with me, and it's to me it's like that's fine. It's not fine, but it's all on them. They're doing all the nonsense.
Yeah, they tune it out. Yeah. Thank you.
Right, but the thing is, now we are able to, for the first time in probably ever or a long time, be able to easily document this stuff over and over and over and over again as not accidental.
That's the hard part. How if you can help all of us understand how do we get the evidence to prove?
You just go out and look online, and there's all these little camera devices that you can buy and wear, or as glasses or pens or little tiny clip-on buttons on your shirt. They all have SD cards. Get the evidence. If people are coming into your apartment, put a camera in there, or home. Put cameras in if you can get the evidence. Take pictures before you leave and after you come back.
But do you have any adequate proof?
Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say. I only have...
You document. How can you prove?
No, I know that.
Exactly the intention.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing the. I don't have anything to say who or for what reasons. I'm just showing at this point, when I left, it was like this. My camera lens does not hallucinate. When I come back, now it's like this.
Right.
I live alone. That's not possible for it to happen. That's all.
Exactly.
Why I have a time, date, day stamp. I didn't do this.
Good
they might try to say I do, but I will willingly take a polygraph for that stuff. I don't do it. I have cameras in my home, my little cameras that I watch my apartment. Just to see if people come in, they're not reliable because I seem to have a lot of computer crashes when I go out, which I find odd. Only when I go out. But they will show that things are different. I have to set it up a little differently, where I have an actual functional clock that is running, a second-hand clock running on each camera field. You just have to live and learn to try and take these precautions. They may not always be effective, but there are some ways that at least you can document that these things are happening somehow. Otherwise, you might as well just say the hell with it and try. It's hard to deal with because people are, if they're coming, you don't know if they're adulterating the food that you eat or the things that you drink. They do minor forms of vandalism. That's been documented by myself, and whenever I post online, on Facebook, I post the usual street nonsense stuff only because I post different things happening. I'll get 4 or 5 people around the country who are my friends that will call me and say, I had the same day. Look, the same thing today. and they've all had this for years. Why should we allow this to keep going on? What is that? It's not something good. It's not something designed to crime, because none of us has committed a crime. This is a crime being done to us. This is a crime.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
And you know what? What?
Would you actually consider somebody taking their dentures out for half a second while you're looking at them a crime?
No, sir. No. That's their argument. I don't consider, of course not. I don't. I consider that just poor behavior. I should consider that idiotic behavior.
Okay, so that's not actually or.
That's not. I'm not arguing the point. No. This is just one the outer layer of a whole series of things that's done to destabilize and terrorize someone intentionally. I'm trying to show intent. That's all.
To get in their head.
But then again, like anything, in order to figure something out, you break it down into its simplest forms and analyze it bit by bit. And that's how you really break it down and figure out what exactly is the issue and what's creating the problem. And in that situation, it certainly seems like the looking for it is creating the problem.
In what way?
Quality of life.
Oh, absolutely. I don't argue that with you at all. Of course not. I have had this go on for so long with me, and it becomes so it's
a norm.
A question of what?
It becomes a norm.
An abnormal norm. And before this, there was not technology available that would easily allow me to document what goes on. Even if I don't get much farther than documenting and trying to develop a way that will help me walk through my V2K every day. Even if I don't get much farther than that, I don't claim to have any other, I don't have any grandiose goals. Yes, a quality of life issue is also a problem here. It's a given. The thing is, my quality of life, if I don't do these things, has never improved because of not doing them.
Yeah.
Words, these things have gone on unabated in 6 northeastern states and 2 Canadian provinces for me. Okay. My partner, actually, who had the same thing, committed suicide in our home in 2012, and I found them dead in bed. And that was a terrible thing for me. And other people have committed suicide or tried self-harm, lots of different things.
Did your partner do it did your partner get it after you got it?
No, he had it before I did. I'm sorry. I don't know if he had it before I did. We met because of that. We met because we found each other. We were both musicians, and he had it also.
Okay. But my wife won't get it.
No, I don't think that's ever happened.
She won't get it, or she won't understand it.
She won't get it, because being near me, that they'll target her as well. I'm scared of that.
Oh no!
I think anyone.
I think people are scared of that. I don't know if it can happen or not. I can't say. But the thing is, there's another issue. If you try to not do these things because you say you want a better quality of life, we tried to do that, Sir Tom. We tried to do that. My partner was also terminally ill. He was on a waiting list for a liver transplant. Lots of different things, and we tried to put all of this stuff on so-called on the back burner and just try to have a good life and be supportive on the conference calls and have our own conference call, yada yada yada. And it stayed the same and got worse. We had a lot of entries into the home. We had a lot of different things. His V2K really ramped up. He couldn't handle that. He had a lot of gaslighting at his own apartment near Times Square in Manhattan. I was living in New York at the time, in Queens. And he couldn't handle it nearly as not as well. I never really handled this very well. I guess I had more practice now, but that's about it.
And how many years is this for you?
23.
Oh, wow, just shy of a good amount of time.
Yeah, 23 years. It's a long time.
And you don't feel that these norms that you're starting to come across, are they making your quality of life better, or?
What do you mean norms? That because I'm trying these things?
No, just the subtle imperfections that you notice from your surroundings. As in, someone sneezes and instead of walking by, you kind of pay more attention to those things.
Look, the way I'm trying to go about it and to suggest to myself and everyone else because now we have access to technology that we only have to do very little. The technology does the rest, where it observes and records everything. We don't have to go around paying attention to any of that. The audio-video stuff just records as you go by or in the midstream.
But then how good is the quality of life if you're going back and re-watching all of those recordings? It's almost like it would be a stress. It would build up a stress for you.
I agree. I understand that. But on the other hand, if you, why would you allow this to continue if A, you know it's wrong, and B, actually it's a crime even though it's a covert crime?
I think I can make one thing clear, and nobody here is allowing this.
Are you guys talking about gang stalking or the electronic harassment? Because those are two completely.
No, I'm talking about. Well, first of all, I'm talking when I talk about recording, I'm talking about organized stalking. But organized stalking is the easiest part so far to be able to record.
And for
organized
me,
stalking doesn't even bother me.
I think it's 2 in 1. I think they're the exact same thing.
I don't.
Really, because what I would have to assume is that the electronic harassment causes the gang stalking.
Yeah.
And that's my point of view.
I don't get what you think. Why?
For the same exact reason. I wish I could go into a little bit more detail with you.
Because my experience has been, my gang stalking hasn't been bad at all. That really doesn't bother me. Sometimes I notice it, but I just kind of think of it as noise. You know, that doesn't bother me. I ignore it.
If people are coming in, here's what I want to ask you. If people are coming into your home.
Oh, I don't know about that.
All right, this is what I'm trying to get across. If people are coming into your home and you are potentially at risk because, and covertly because there's no sign of forced entry, and you are potentially at risk because of possible adulterated foodstuffs or beverages or anything, or knock on wood, your children or your pets or something are at risk because people are coming into your home when you're not there, and something may be or may not be done to them, or minor acts of vandalism, and this goes on for any length of time, why would you allow that? Why would you not try to do something as simple as putting on some device that records as you go through the, whatever. You don't necessarily have to go over every 30 seconds.
Perhaps.
Add it to later.
You're right. I just assume that the electronic harassment or the auditorial hallucinations, as they're known in the medical field, thought intrusion is a word, or, what I think it is that, okay, so you can look behind you and you'll see a green Ford F-150, right, and you can just automatically assume, oh, maybe that's a government vehicle. Then, bam, that's where the V2K kicks in and drives you down a tunnel thinking that you're being stalked. But in all reality, those aren't your thoughts.
I actually am the opposite way. I try to ignore as much as I can of all that, and even the stuff that I tell about, only because, it's all done as a psyops. It's all done as something to unnerve you and let you know that this is all going on about you and whatever.
That's how I correlate the two.
Yeah. What?
That's how I correlate the two. It's intruded thoughts that you seem to think of gang stalk that's occurring. Right. In all reality.
However, all right, here's the way I look at it. Organized stalking has been around much, much longer, way before electronic harassment or the capabilities for technology to be able to give people this impetus to do these things. It was just more structured and a greater percentage of collaborators to the general population.
I guess. I'm just thinking of old school movies and where somebody just sets up a sting and watches somebody.
Right, but that's in the sense of a crime, of that person being watched committing a crime.
Correct.
Well, then those people should be watched.
Correct. So why would, if you know you're not creating a crime, why would you not assume that it would be something else provoking the gang stalking thoughts? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Something is provoking them. I'm not saying it's necessarily electronic. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't care. All I know is I didn't commit a crime, and I'm not entering anybody else's home.
And that's your mentality. That's exactly what you need to stick with, because then that brings you into a whole different way of looking at it, saying, you're right, you know what, why would that happen? Why would this be the way that somebody would do it? I mean, you got to look at their point of view also. If you were technically being gang stalked, you need to look at their point of view and say, okay, is that good for business? Because every business needs to run, and it needs to run efficiently. And if their business is not make money and just watch some random guy while he
that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly, then it doesn't make any sense. Then it's certainly.
And the thing is, even if they were doing it for monetarily or for profit or for the benefit of the community, it still acts backwards because the crime still goes on unabated. None of these people, whenever there's a, knock on wood, there's a mass shooting or any kind of violence going on in the country, I always ask out loud, well, where the hell were the organized stalkers at that moment? Everybody running around doing all this shit to people like us, and they completely missed that crap over there. I suggest you pull your radar out of your ass.
They don't miss it. They don't miss anything nowadays. Why do you think there's no real crimes if they don't find people? They've always captured people, especially if it's an important person that gets killed or something. They'll catch the person right away.
What about these things, these horrible things that go on? Here's an example. I don't know how many years ago. You could pick any year. I suppose it's so sad. Some guy will kidnap some young kid or some young girl or some girls and keep them in his house for years, and they stay there and keep them kidnapped for years, or even have children by them and all this stuff. Well, one time it happened in Cleveland, Ohio, right in an urban area. There was probably people who were organized stalkers swirling around that area. What the hell was the matter with them? They didn't watch that house. They didn't do anything about it. That went on for years, and they missed it.
Which means it's not true.
Which means what?
Which means that there probably no such thing as organized stalkers, and it's not true.
Or they know about it and they don't do anything about it.
Right.
Which doesn't seem...
They're in every area. Why are they not? If they're supposed to be, I'm saying, if people have conjectured that they're supposed to be part of community watch or whatever, I don't believe that either, because why are they missing all these crimes in all these areas?
Right. If somebody's going to walk in with a weapon and shoot up the Navy Yard or whatever, what do you mean? They follow him everywhere, but they didn't know that guy was walking into Navy Yard?
Right. It doesn't make sense. It's like, are you telling me that I could go outside and 30 people in a small town will do goofy things to me, and yet somebody else can go on and rip off a convenience store because they need more money to go and smoke meth?
Or even us, like, let's say one of us, right? We're being
monitored. Those people are smoking meth, or you don't know that they go and where they go and cop meth, or what they do, or whatever else goes on in a small town, or I don't care where.
Or even one of us, one of the TIs, right? We could pick up a weapon right now and go do a mass shootout, right? And they would allow it to happen, or they don't know we're going to do it. One of the two.
I'm telling you what it is.
It's considered. So this program is what I consider. I mean, you can just flat out name it nothing, because that's exactly what comes from it.
Well,
nothing.
I just use those terms because that's what everyone else uses. I just call it that because.
What terms?
That I use the term organized stalking or whatever because that's what, when I came into the community, that's what people referred to it as.
Yeah, but are you guys saying that it does exist or it doesn't?
It does. Yes, I am saying that.
Even though you guys just made clear, good evidence against it, saying that it doesn't.
No, we're just saying that they let those things happen.
How do you know? Even someone who knows?
Is that it's for whatever reason it's being done to the wrong people.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not being done to people. None of us are a criminal. No. None of us are crime oriented. None of us are anything like that. But yet there's this whole system. I'm telling you the truth. I can go in any different states, and even friends that I've stayed overnight with.
No one is a criminal in here.
Oh, absolutely, people are. I'll tell you why.
And I guarantee it's the same thing that people say in jail, where there's not a guilty man in jail, too.
All right, right. But the thing is, if I go to visit some friend's house, and I stay overnight there a couple nights, I will have the same types of entries, no sign of forced entry. When we go out somewhere all together to go to a dinner or whatever, and we come back, and these same types of things will happen on any number of different indicators. And I didn't do it. None of my friends have done it in their homes. They don't even know what I'm talking about. Yet I can show you picture evidence of it happening, and I'll even tell them. Say it again.
Of what happening?
I will come back in. All right, here's a good example. I will take, if I go to visit a friend's house, I'll take my luggage, and put it in whatever room they say is the guest room or whatever. And leave it there. We'll go out. I'll come back. I will. Here's just a couple different things. I'll come back and I'll open my luggage, and there will be a series of very, very large paper clips thrown into my clothing. Okay. And I know that sounds odd, but that's a very common thing.
Somebody went out of their way to put paper clips in your luggage.
Well, that's exactly what
I know that.
It's not what happens.
What?
They make it look like something stupid that you would complain about. That's exactly what they do, right?
Right, but I'm not there to complain.
No, and I'm saying that. I'm defending your point.
Right, and it's only something minor, but it's something very pointed. And it's something that many people, if you talk to people across the country, this happens to them. You know, I've talked to lots of people across paper clips, coins, certain kind of coins with certain years on them. Lately, it's been power cords or charger cords or my cords on my keyboard. I will straighten them out and hang them on nails, actually, on a wall that I have here. And when I come back from going out someplace, there is a double slip knot tied exactly in the center of each one. And I've taken pictures of this all the time.
So you think somebody went into your house and tied a knot?
I didn't, sir.
Just to leave?
I didn't do it.
No, I know you. Who knows? Maybe, honestly, and please don't take this the wrong way. It's because I don't know you. I talk. You might have multiple personalities that maybe you did do it and you just didn't know it. You blacked out.
Look, I don't know.
Look, that's exactly what they try to paint us as is people who are compartmentalized and different thoughts and we're going crazy, right? So that's the whole objective. So why not do that?
Well, you have to admit that lady Cindy who was on here a little bit earlier, she wasn't exactly a TI. I wouldn't say she was mentally stable enough to even handle a conversation with a human being.
Yeah, Tom, look, I'm not very concerned about like the politics that go on these calls. All I know is what I'm experiencing. And so when I talk, I'm more about solving the problem and finding out how people are solving problems because I want to get to the bottom of it. So all that noise is just noise, you know? That's why I don't spend time on it.
You're right. That's a good way to look at it.
And the thing is, I'm just going around using the simplest, cheapest way I can, most objective way that will do this recording and whatever watching for me. I'm not interested in doing that or making it. I have to make it a major part of, or not a major part of my life, a part of my life, because it is real, it is happening, and it's like a terrible illness that you don't want. Something is going on here that I can't explain, but I know is not as wild as some people would like you to think it is. I'm not doing it. I'm not hypnotized. I'm not anything. I record my own actions at home. None of this is happening by my hand. So I'm doing it in the cheapest, I guess, cheapest because I'm on a budget, most objective way I can. While trying to look for other.
That some of the ideas or some of the scenarios that may happen, and please don't think I'm sitting here saying you're a naysayer.
Just go say it. That's fine. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, I'm on your side. We're seriously.
No, that's fine.
Did you ever think that somehow, some way that somebody is intruding a thought into your head to create an issue?
No, because these are not issues that I would first of all create, and these are not things that I'm doing because I actually have recorded evidence of not doing them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're missing the point. The point is, I'm in an apartment that I rent that is supposed to not be entered. I'm using that as an example. No one is supposed to be in here when I leave, even the landlord. And yet when I go out, and these things are in these objects or any number of things in my pantry or in my apartment are one way.
Now
right. And then I come back, and they're another way. No one has said there's any forced entry. I only have the picture evidence.
Now, I got a really good one for you after you explain that one. So what I've noticed is that with the symptoms and everything that's going on is that there's actually moments I'll believe...
I can't hear you, so you've got to move around a little. I can't hear you.
How about now?
Okay, better. Better.
What I'll actually experience is that there's some things that... All right, so just using one scenario that you have with the cord hanging from the wall, You believed that you had left it straight down, and
No, I don't believe it. I actually take pictures before I walk out the door.
oh, all right, never mind. You have picture evidence.
Yes.
All right. Then that kind of steps above me because I've actually had thoughts intruded that completely are opposite of what I believed before I had left.
Believe me, I understand that part of it. That's why I don't rely on my memory, or I rely on just camera or audio recordings. That's it.
At least we're on the same page with that because that's what I've come to believe.
Right.
You know.
Oh, and that's easily to happen. And you know, for a while, I would even record myself overnight while sleeping to make sure I wasn't getting up in the middle of the night and doing these things.
Wow, really? That's good
Sure,
for you.
because I was when I lived in Queens, I lived in a basement apartment that I locked from the inside, and these things were happening overnight. And how does that happen? I don't know.
Good question.
That's a bad answer. But yeah, and so this has been going on, and the thing is, you know, I don't want it to come to the point because other people who are on this call where things have happened to their themselves or their families or their pets where their things have been tampered with in their home, and you know, the level of crime has stepped up.
Now, are you Brian?
No, my name is Mike.
Oh, okay.
No,
I just heard somebody say the name Brian before, so I didn't know if that was you.
No, that's Mike Mason. He's a good guy.
Right, and I'm the one. Thanks. Well, just don't check my credit rating. But you know, I want to. I believe in people having quality of life. I believe in absolutely in not making this your identity. It should never be made your identity. That's why I try to tell people go and try to access and buy, you know, devices and things you can afford that will give you objective, consistent, uniform evidence of stuff happening that no one can refute, that you can take in, that's time, day, and date stamped and say this is happening.
Such as what?
And what?
Device.
Oh, I'm talking about video audio recording, or you know, stuff that's or if you have evidence where you can use things with Faraday cages or anechoic chambers, if you're having signals that come in, or you're having.
But a device comes to my mind. When I was in the military, we had these nuke systems, and what they would do, they would actually jam every single satellite system or every single cell phone signal in the area, so that way no terrorist could remote detonate an IED while you had this Duke system on.
Right.
It would create a bubble around your truck, and what it would do is it would send out so many signals at one time that it would just jam every single frequency whatsoever.
Right.
It's illegal.
And you know how it does that? It stops your phone from connecting with the flow that the carrier puts out.
Oh, of course, because it sends so many signals out, your phone gets confused. Has anybody ever tried a system like that?
That's illegal.
I don't think anyone's gotten their hands on one of them.
No, I don't think that would be illegal. That's no more illegal than an EMP. As long as you used it, you know, in your backyard, you're perfectly legal.
No, because you can't transmit on every frequency, right? Because of the FCC. Those things are illegal. I mean, they're like $300. I'm not talking for or against it. I'm just saying, you know, fact.
I think the legality issue comes in because of what distance it's effective at, and if it interferes with any other customers, subscribers right then and there.
Well, I think the legality aspect of it is because they want to be able to spy on us and they don't want us to defend ourselves. You know, to be quite honest.
Whatever. Partially they argue that the legality is people can't call 911 possibly if they need it.
Right.
Well, first of all, I'd have to see the actual law written before I would say that's even a law.
I think I read it because I was researching that because I highly would want one of those things, right? But then the only issue with that is that, you know, you're also emitting a bunch of EMFs, right?
When they talk back in the way of emergency communication.
No, we can't hear you at all. You're really intrusive. You're really disrupted.
Am I? Can you hear me now?
No, but terrible.
Oh, man. Can you raise my call out, see? Okay,
no,
thank you.
I can't hear you. You sound like a mechanical.
Really?
Linda, call back in. Call back in.
Okay, I'll call back in. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know, Mike. Bye-bye.
But that blocking thing, it seems like a fascinating thing. That might cause some relief. Anybody ever try it?
I know why.
I haven't. You know, in all honesty, if I was still in the military, I'd stand by a truck and I'd turn it on and see if it worked. But I'm curious.
Commuter?
Yeah.
Caller 2.
Linda, we're going to have to mute you. Call back in, hon.
Hello? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Anybody there? No,
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah.
So another thing that I was thinking is that if two TIs are in the same exact room together, is there any type of signal jam or
I don't know.
does one person get the other one's?
You know, I've always wondered the same exact thing.
Yeah. You know what was interesting? There were people who came across the country a lot of times to protest organized stalking and electronic harassment or whatever, and they would stay at the house in Queens because they didn't have a lot of money, so I let them stay. And we'd go and hand out flyers at the Long Island Railroad stations. And we would be able to go down the street each and see each other's people who were, I guess, call each other's program perps or whatever, who did separate things for both of us that were very, very pointed and very recognizable. And you know, it was strange to see, and I wish we could have recorded it better because.
I'm not exactly understanding what you're saying.
Why is my phone blocking out?
No. I guess I lost you. So what are you saying? Is that if two of you together, you both received the same exact thing?
Oh, I'm not talking about it in the sense of electronic harassment. I'm still going with what I call organized stalking or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call it. But what happens is they use a series of hand signals and gestures and different things that are fairly well known if you study it. Because I wondered years ago what people were always doing those things to me for. Everywhere I went, people were doing very specific things that were non sequitur. They were just
thoughts are just intruded into your head, and those aren't actually really people doing that. That's the electronic.
No. Because I would be with other people, and I would ask them, watch what happens when I walk through this room of people, whatever, okay? And I wouldn't make a big deal about it, and they'd say, yeah, I did see that. What is that? And these are old friends of mine over 20 years now, and they'd say, I remember telling, they said, I don't know what that is, and they would see it too, and they'd say, well, I don't know what that is either. I don't know why people would be doing that.
Just how you arouse their suspicion by mentioning it to them, and then kind of snowball effect with it. The thoughts
that's always right. That's always a good argument, but there were very specific gestures that were not necessarily related to whatever situation that you would be in.
You believe the mind would be able to correlate.
Yes, I understand that. But also people would be saying, I don't know how much of this you had, if any, because it sounds like you might have had very little, if any.
The gang stalking?
Yeah.
Oh, I was followed. I listened to them all talk. I had them going back and forth as if they were on radio transmissions, as if everything I did was one person looking, as if there were, scenarios that were set up just to see how I reacted.
No, what I had were people actually, and this was it started in a church congregation, and they were upper middle class suburbanite white people, and they started repeating verbatim pieces of conversations I had at home on the phone while I was attending the congregation. I'm sorry, say it again.
Do you remember seeing their mouths moving as they were talking?
Of course, that's why I had my friend with me to double check that.
That seems. You had your friend there with you just to watch to see if their mouths were moving?
No, to watch to see if they said those specific things. They were not. These were things that were pointed. These were non sequiturs. These were things that were out of context of the current conversation. That were actually pieces of verbatim conversations that I would have in my own home when no one else was present.
You know that's part of the electronic harassment as well, is they can alter persons talking. If you don't physically see somebody's mouth, then
right.
I wouldn't believe what you're hearing, because that's another thing that they can do.
But what I'm telling you is that's why I brought others to do that.
What's that? I'm sorry.
That's why I brought others to try and verify it, help verify it for me.
And what did they verify?
By them listening, I didn't tell them what the phrases were.
But they were able to recite them back to you?
Yes, it was a small group. It was a small group, it was a social setting. We all knew each other.
You guys were all TIs?
No. We were all a social group together.
Okay.
I was the only one that was targeted. My friend, who had a long-time friend, we were both part of this group, and I didn't tell them what the phrases were or the gestures, and they were the ones that noticed it. Because we stayed there for over a good hour or more, maybe 2 hours, and we've done it repeatedly.
I don't know. Well, it's different for me. I've learned that, in all honesty, you can't believe anything you don't physically see, even when the mouths are moving, because, quite frankly, voices can be altered. Conversations can be completely different in your mind.
Absolutely. That's why now. That's why now I don't bother with any of that. I just have something that records it for me. I'm not interested in trying to. I've had this argument many times with people.
And how
over the years.
Go back and listen to the recordings? Are you proven wrong sometimes?
No. No, sir.
So, Michael, what was your point with this story you were talking about earlier?
My point of the story was that I don't have to go through. I appreciate what this guy is saying, because he doesn't have a lot of it. Is that over the years people are worn down and traumatized and repeatedly victimized by these types of things, because they do not have access, or until recently they don't have access to fairly cheap, accurate, objective equipment that's portable, that will help you record audio and visual episodes of these type of things. It doesn't have to be contested right away.
You shield it all?
Why? No.
You shield?
Is he asking me? I don't know who's talking.
Yeah. I'm asking you. Do you shield it all? Do you still do it?
No, I don't anymore. No.
What is shield?
No, I don't.
Why?
Excuse me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just checking.
Okay. Yeah. I don't anymore. I just use things to protect my hearing and try to give my head some peace overnight. That's about it.
Okay.
Huh. What is shield?
Brian
like
does not wear. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
Okay, go ahead.
For relief or whatever, Tom.
Oh. Yeah, no, I'm not. In all honesty, I've never done that, and I'm almost positive that mentally, if you do something, what the electronic harassment does is that in order for it to stay as nothing as it is, or as subtle as it is, it mimics what you think. So that way there can be an argument to say that it really is just that human being, or it really is just that person. So if you mentally, in your mind, feel that closing your fist as tight as you can and opening your right hand as wide as you can, if you mentally feel that would numb it, or if that would turn it down, then it mimics that. This is what I've learned, is that it mimics that. So that way, you know what I'm saying? It falls back under the fact that it's still you causing.
Interesting.
Right.
Which hand do you close? Which one do you open? Can you tell us that? I forget.
Yeah, exactly. I
Which
wish
hand do you? Is it right hand? Which one do you do? Do you close? Which one do you open?
Let's just say I put an aluminum foil hat on, and mentally, if I, you know what I'm saying? The hand being closed is the same exact concept of an aluminum foil hat.
Gotcha.
You know, if you mentally feel that is going to turn it down, it'll work for 1 or 2 days, or maybe even it'll work for an hour, but eventually you learn that it doesn't, and it's the electronic harassment messing with you. And that's from my experience. That's what I learned. If you strongly, strongly believe mentally that what you do creates a certain type of effect, that's the effect that it's going to cause. And I don't know if anyone else has that same exact situation.
So, in other words, you just are going to, you believe that you should just deal with this and have the best life that you can.
Nope. If I felt I could deal with this and have the best life I can, you wouldn't be talking to me right now, or I wouldn't be talking to you. I'm in it to solve it. I'm in it to figure it out, and I'm in it to get other experiences.
Right. If I'm trying, what I'm trying to do is find devices that may or may not help not only myself, but other people as well. More people than it help more people, and trying to blur this out. And with the fewest of side effects, help more people than it doesn't help. I'm not saying that it will help everyone.
You kind of have like a water and oil type turmoil, is that you're more of the gang stalking, I'm more of the electronic harassment.
No, I believe in both. Absolutely, I have both.
So when I speak, I'm only thinking electronic harassment.
I know that, but I have both, right.
Yeah. Because I've actually gotten past the gang stalking, and it sounds like somebody else may have as well, or they just don't pay attention to it, because in all honesty, no matter how many times you see somebody do something silly, it's going to be so hard to prove that.
Oh, right. Those things, those nonsense things, right. That's why I want to be able to just collect, in other words, evidence collection as easily as possible with not having to pay attention to it. I don't want to pay attention. I'm not interested.
What I want to do is figure out if I could get a direct signal somehow, some way from me.
That's what we were talking about earlier. People from Japan had rented an anechoic chamber and a very good Faraday setup and some testing equipment along with it for a couple of days, and they had fairly good results with it.
Hell, I've even tossed around the idea of putting a multimeter up to my skin and seeing if I get more of a current than the average person.
I think that's a great idea. Honestly, as a matter of fact, there's videos of a guy who did that years ago. I forgot his name now. I could find it though. He actually put something like that right up against the skin, and he could show the cadence, the rise and fall of what were supposed to be words or sentences or something.
That's amazing. I mean, that's something that I would like to do. But in all honesty, the multimeter's in my garage, and I just haven't had time. I've been working and dealing with my life.
When I had the multimeter and the what was the other thing called? Oh, now I forget. It was the other meter that we were using too. When I didn't believe any of that. When I first turned mine on, it was an analog one with a pointer. The needle moved in direct cadence with my V2K words and phrases.
Which should be proof right there.
No, it isn't. It doesn't mean, they don't accept that as proof.
Who's that?
They don't accept that as proof. Anybody wouldn't, I was told, wouldn't accept that as proof because you have to show intent. You have to show objective happenings and intent as to myself personally.
Yeah, but then if somebody was to do that on their own skin and it was different, it would certainly at least raise a flag to say that, yes, something is going on.
Like a restraining.
It is different, but it actually is different, and we've shown that before, but the thing is, accurately and consistently record V2K where we can't play it back again for someone else without prompting them as to its content.
Exactly. Otherwise, it just sounds like gargling, and then if that person tells you what they're hearing, then you kind of...
That's no good. That's no good, right.
Exactly. Right. So that's why I think recording the V2K kind of seems pointless, because, first of all, you're just re-listening over and over again in your own mind what you think you hear.
And what you're misled to hear, think you hear. And that could be caused by lots of different things, and you could be completely fooled by lots of different things. And that's why it's taking so long to find out, and I don't have the money or the know-it-all or the equipment to do it. We should. That's all.
Yeah. I want to go the multimeter route. And I'm going to start with that because that's the simplest. I got it on my garage. I'm going to try that and see what I get up. See if I do get some type of cadence that you're speaking of.
And if you have the inkling to take, I don't know if you can use it if it records audio also.
Yeah. See, I think at that point, yeah, my multimeter is not going to be able to record audio, and I have no form or way of getting the signal directed to a device where it would be able to record it. I've heard of people doing it on Apple phones, and they call their own cell phone and they get it, but in all reality, when it plays back to me, I don't hear it until they actually tell me what they hear in the video, and then it's like, oh yeah,
no good. That's no good, yeah. No good.
Because it's clear as day in my head.
Right. But if I'm actually looking for devices that are already produced and patented. That's why I used Audio Spotlight. It was already produced and patented. It used ultrasound heterodyning, and it does a fairly good job of blurring out my V2K when I use it.
Okay, nice. What does it do?
It's called Audio Spotlight. It was actually an advertising tool for trade shows and things like that. What it does is it uses ultrasound. It's not a traditional speaker. It uses ultrasound heterodyning to put the content, or whatever kind of audio content, in that you can't hear it until it strikes your head.
So essentially, it makes vibrations?
No, it has two different frequencies ultrasonically that when they hit your head and combine, they make a third frequency that you misperceive as being produced within your head.
Yeah, a resultant frequency.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, did that work for you?
Yes, but I don't know if it's unsafe to use for any length of time. I don't know if it will work for everyone. It doesn't completely knock it out. It doesn't completely knock it out, but it blurs it out pretty well.
See, which is, okay. Okay.
You suppose there's two types of these programs? Like one is, V2K stuff, research, government stuff. And then there is corporate kind of, vendetta or, retaliation kind of thing? Or am I going to get to the point where I'm going to have, V2K eventually, maybe next year? I mean, is there a progression that takes?
Have any auditorial hallucinations?
No, none of that stuff.
Wow, good for you.
There's a progression.
Yeah, there is one. I've been subjected to the V2K for 4 years, and then just 11 months ago they turned on synthetic healthy and the V2K. Hard. The V2K is just the worst.
When did that start?
They always have been utilizing electronic harassment on me, but 11 months ago they started inflicting so much pain on me. Daily. So, to the point where they go up and down in my stomach lining, and it affects me so adversely. And there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. It's sad. So yeah, there is a progression, and you'll probably get there, sadly enough.
Oh my God.
And the more you're interested in being an advocate for this, the worse it'll probably get for you, like Brian too.
That right there is the mentality you should get yourself out of. See, the way I see it, the more you speak about it, the more you come out of with it, the less they want to get you to know, so the quieter it'll get.
Correct.
Oh, you think?
According to Kathy Meadows, if you keep your mind busy, which also Brian too talks about multitasking.
Sure, mind a little bit too busy.
If you keep your mind busy, she suggested to me, because she asked me if I had V2K. I said, no, tinnitus. Yes, I have the tinnitus. It's very strong. And she said, keep your mind busy. Do not daydream. Do not let your mind wander. Keep it busy, because that's how they get into with the V2K. So just keep your mind busy working and walking.
Right. The only time I notice to hear the V2K is when it's dead space, is when I'm
there you go.
Transitioning in between things.
Don't have dead space. Get there fast. It can be a little nerve-wracking,
My outlook on it is that I actually listen to it as if I was watching a TV show or as if I was reading a fictional book,
Yeah.
If they want to play that, more power to them. I just listen to it, and I think it's funny.
Okay, people.
More power to you.
We have to get over to Linda's call.
Venture over to my call. Okay, you guys, I'm going to be over there. I'm going to first address the grand jury issue that was discussed on your call, Frank, last week, I think.
Yeah.
Or last Wednesday, and I just want to make sure people don't run over the grand jury and tell them to step aside, because they'll get arrested. Okay? Besides that, they won't be able to find them.
They won't get by the front door.
Exactly. Anyway,
night,
okay.
People.
Thank you for the call, Frank.
God bless all TIs all over the world.
Anybody who wants to come, the call number is 140-091. Sorry, Frank, because I just talk right over you.
That's okay.
It's 724-444-7444. Mike will be there. I will be there, obviously.
I will
Terry
be there.
might be there, not sure. And absolutely, Frank will be there. We'll all be there. Yes, come on, come on, come on. 724-444-7444. And the caller ID is 140091. Yeah, you're all invited. Yeah, okay. People are asking me, yes, I'm on my way. Okay, people are waiting for me over there. Thanks, Frank. Talk to you later.
Welcome. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Good night, folks. God bless.